strength. You are now listening to the Gorilla Strength Podcast with their hosts, Scott Lamb, John Davis, and JT Donahue.
All right, welcome back to the Gorilla Strength Podcast. Today's guest, Zach Schulze.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Very excited about this one.
Been looking forward to come on this since Scott told me about it.
Cool.
So I'm really looking forward to it.
175-pounder.
Yes.
How long you been in the sport?
I started doing strongman as a competitor in 2017. But do you know a guy named Dan Quigley?
The name sounds familiar.
He just crossed into the Masters category. He's going to be at OSG, but I know he competed as a 105 for quite some time. But he was kind of my first mentor up in Buffalo area.
So you're originally from
New
York.
Upstate New York. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so I was competing in powerlifting since I was in 9th grade up there, and him and I trained at the same gym. And so he did strongman.
Okay.
And so I kind of would tag along with him, and he showed me how to do the axle and log and all that stuff. But I just kind of did it as like just for fun, just to kind of touch the equipment.
So you originally got into powerlifting basically through like high school lifting type?
Yeah.
So doing high school lifting, things like that.
Yeah. So if I go back, so to answer your question, the first one, competitor since 2017, been competing in powerlifting since 2010.
Cool.
Okay.
I got into that because I played sports, when I was younger, and I'm not very big, and I knew I wasn't going to be very big because of my genetics, and I just love playing football, and I love playing defense, know. So I knew that I needed to be big and mean, but I wasn't going to do that by growing or getting taller. So I knew that I had to get bigger, and so that was kind of around the time where Jay Cutler was killing it, Ronnie Coleman was there, Dexter Jackson. So like those guys were all my idols. So I was like doing their workouts, as much as possible, and just reading Flex magazine, things like that. Flex was kind of on its way out because like social media kind of became a thing, and nobody was looking at magazines anymore. But yeah, I started training like a powerlifter, like 2008. Did my first competition. My high school had a team. 2010.
Cool.
So I wrestled, played football, and then I competed in the powerlifting arena and through the high school circuit up until I graduated.
Right.
Yep.
So, but you do have, I understand you have a gymnastics background as well. Like, how does that come about? Like,
yes. So this is a very unique situation. So I actually never did gymnastics.
Okay.
Ever. This is how I got into gymnastics.
Okay.
I had a friend in high school who was a gymnastics coach.
Okay.
Girl that I liked, and she's very tiny. And she was like, hey, I need help with these girls. Like they're too big for me to spot. Do you want to come spot, these girls with me? And I saw it as, do you want to come hang out with me for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week? Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. So, and I learned how to spot and coach gymnastics just as a hands-on experience, not something that I ever thought I was ever going to use.
Okay.
This was just my excuse to hang out with somebody. Then fast forward, I moved to Florida. I started training the head coach of Brandy Johnson's gymnastics.
No way.
Started training her, and we were talking one day, and she's like, "Yeah, I wish I knew somebody that knew gymnastics and was also a strength and conditioning coach." And I'm like, "Well, actually, here's my experience." So she's like, perfect, you're hired. I immediately quit Gold's Gym, went over there, got certified, got my professional license as a gymnastics coach through USAG. So on my bio, it says former USAG professional. That's a coach.
Yeah, because I thought you were a gymnast.
A lot of people do.
Yeah, that's what I thought your background was.
Not at all. No. I as a professional coach, but not a competitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what initially brought you to Florida? I mean, what was...
So I'm from a small town outside of Buffalo. Personal trainers don't make any money there, and also
kind of same here.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. and nobody could afford it either, So it's like a very impoverished town. It's called Jamestown, New York. Not a nice city, not a good place to go if you're an entrepreneur or want to do anything outside of like. It's good for manufacturing, a lot of manufacturing stuff there. And actually, for a short stint, I was a welding apprentice.
Okay.
And because I took welding in high school, and they had this program in my high school where if you Went through 4 years of welding. You could get immediately hired on as an apprentice, where a lot of times you need to go to a trade school.
Right.
So essentially, it was kind of like a fast track to get into manufacturing.
Kind of like be like a journeyman type thing.
Yeah, like a journeyman. Yeah. And so when I was in high school welding, it was awesome because I got to just make things, melting metal together. But then when I had to do it for a living, and that was like what I did for 10 hours a day, I was like, this shit sucks. It was just not fun. Then I had to go train after.
Right.
And it's like 10 hours a day in a factory. It's hot. I'm burning my fingers every day. Moving heavy metal. Of course, since I was a journeyman, I was a grunt, and they know I lifted weights. So I was moving hella weight, like metal, And I was doing some welding, but it was mainly I was the bitch.
You were the grunt.
I was the grunt. I was moving stuff. I was cutting metal. I wasn't really like doing what I wanted to do. So anyways, so moved to Florida. So my brother was the manager of a really big fitness facility in Chicago. And I knew that as soon as I graduated from high school, the first thing that I wanted to do was get a personal training certification, which is what I did. And then, like I said, I come from a really poor town. I got really good grades in high school. And so they have this thing called the USA Scholarship, which is basically like if you're a smart kid and you play sports and you're really poor, you can go to college for free and actually get paid. So that's what I did. Went to college, wrestled there for 2 years, got my degree. And as soon as I graduated, my degree is in health science.
We're by airports, just so
Just like an airport just had a Amazon takeoff there.
usually don't know right by an airport.
So, I got a degree in health science, but honestly, I didn't learn very much that I use today. Mainly just went so I could wrestle, and honestly, I got paid like $2,500 a semester to go to college. So just got the experience. Most people don't. You got to pay,
Right.
So I got paid, got to work towards a degree, and just exercise my passion. So as soon as I graduated, brother offered me a job. Moved to Chicago. I started being a personal trainer out there. Working with like a lot of kids and sports teams and things like that, and I couldn't stand it. Just not the job, but the area.
Yeah.
It's just an impoverished area. It was basically a bigger version of where I came from.
Right.
Not a lot of money. More people, and I had good connections because my brother was the fitness facility manager. So like when there was new people coming in, they needed to be trained. I was getting them, but I was only able to charge like $35 to $40 a session. And then. It's not cheap to live in Chicago.
Right.
So I was kind of in the same spot, working more, making about the same amount, maybe even less because of the cost of living. And so my best friend from high school, he actually moved to Florida at the same time that I moved to Chicago. And I'm there for a while, and he calls me up one day. He's like, yeah, bro, I miss you. I'm like, I miss you too, man. Like, I got to come down and visit. He's like, dude, the Gold's Gym is hiring in my area. I'm like, really? Give me the number. I called. I'm not even kidding. This was like a 2 hours decision. They're like, you're certified? Yep. Okay, you're hired. Come down. When can you start? And this was in 2015, and I moved down to Florida New Year's Day of 2016.
And this is where you're currently at now? Like in Clearmont?
Yes.
As far as the area, okay.
Yeah. I live in the same town that I moved to.
Okay. Because that's basically, I mean, it is a small town. Clearmont's pretty small. I mean, growing, but
it's gotten a lot bigger since I've lived there.
Yeah.
I think we're approaching 100,000 people, if I'm not mistaken. Wow. And when I moved there, I think it was half of that.
Oh yeah, well, it's everywhere because we're in.
That was
Central
an
Florida.
influx for the last couple of years that we had everywhere in Central Florida. Exploded.
Clearmont, Davenport, all those areas for some reason, and I think Clearmont's the same way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but. Is there a lot of English people? Like, there's a lot of
European,
yeah, but a lot of like people from England. I don't know why. What happened with why they chose Clearmont?
Yeah,
Clearmont's like heavily populated with it
is a lot of European people there. Like you were saying, more like English European type. And they're all relatively well off.
Yeah,
and so the nice thing about Clearmont, it's a small town, but I'm pretty sure the median income is like over $70,000.
Right.
So all those people can afford training.
Sure.
So the cost of living here was cheaper. Believe it or not, it might be more now, but when I moved here, it was cheaper.
Right.
Getting paid probably about 25% more. So let's just do some rough estimates here. If it's 10% less to live and 25% more money. I
Right.
basically made 35% more money moving here,
Right.
and it's a vacation state.
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So yeah, that's how I got started, and then kind of that's where I started at Gold's Gym. I was just a normal trainer, you know. Now this whole time I'm still actively competing and training for powerlifting.
Mhm.
We'll get into this later, but I had like a lot of injuries early on in my career that kind of held me back a lot.
Mhm.
But get into the conversation if I started training the head coach of the gymnastics team, and then immediately from there, that's what I did. I was there for I think about 4.5 years, strength and conditioning coach, and also coached bars and vaults, which are gymnastics events. Yeah, so that's that, and then I guess I kind of wrapped that up. I won't. I'm not gonna throw any names under the bus, but I mean, I already told you guys where I worked, but I'll just come out with it. You know, it's just very unprofessional there. And I mean, I posted a review about this place with my name publicly. So I'm not really hiding anything here, but just very like hated men in the atmosphere.
Mhm.
You know, like had people, particularly these women with power trips,
Mhm.
didn't like that there were men working there, right? And that sounds crazy, but I swear to God, 1,000 people could back this for me.
Wow.
And so, you know, I was one of the favorite coaches there by the kids, you know, and I think part of that was because I never had to yell. I mean, you and I have a similar appearance, beard, tattoos, muscles, right? Like people just listen to you when you say things, especially little kids, you know, so, I had a very intimidating appearance, but the kids loved me. You know, I was the most fun coach, and people saw that, you know, and they didn't like that I was popular, and so I was getting paid pretty good money there, and I had a great work schedule. I mean, I was working like 35 hours a week, and I was making full-time income. Which actually during that time I was training at Iron House. Kind of get into how I got there, but
that's where I believe I met you.
Yep.
At
I
Iron
remember the
House.
first day I met you. Yep. First thing you asked me, powerlifter or strongman?
Yeah.
said-
I don't remember that, but I think the first time I remember you is for some reason we went down south and I think you competed.
Yes.
You remember this?
That was
And
my first competition
Okay.
with
And
Alan.
what was that?
That was at Barbell Center Games, I think, right?
I don't remember. I just remember going to eat afterwards for some reason. That's all I remember about that.
Yes. Yes. I remember that now too, now that you say it. It was like at a Mexican restaurant or something.
Yeah, but I don't remember what comp it was. I don't remember where it was. That's all I remember about that.
It was barbell. It was my first contest in strongman, and it was kind of a strongman contest. It was like a fundraiser thing, but it was at the old Boynton Barbell Center or whatever. It's now called.
Do you remember who ran that?
His name on Instagram is like Cookie Monster.
Oh, okay.
He used to own that place.
He's a good dude. He's a 198er. I've competed against him. Shit, I'm trying to remember.
I don't know.
I just know his name's Cookie Monster.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Good guy, man. Strong guy too.
Yeah, he was a cool guy.
God, I can't remember his name, man. Fuck. And I know the guy very well. So
Yeah.
very good guy.
Yeah, that's
okay.
where we were.
Okay.
That was my first contest. They had a log press. It was a 1 rep max, 3 attempts, and then it was weird. Then they had like a car deadlift, but it was with an ATV
Okay.
with like weights on it, and then they had max reps at 135 on the bench. And then
That's right.
And then I think the heavyweights was like 225 or something. But yeah, it was an interesting contest.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
I guess if you want to call that strongman, you could. But that was my inaugural like log press deadlifting competition kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then that's where I met you. Well, no, I actually met you at Iron House first, and then that's when we went out to dinner.
Because at the time, I mean, you're going back years here, so no
6 years ago.
no strongman facilities in Claremont.
None of, and I'm still the only one.
Yeah, so you're still the only one there. Obviously, Alan has a ton of equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, even my place. I mean, I'm 4,000 square feet, but I have not a quarter of strongman equipment that Alan has.
Which is crazy.
I mean, yeah, so, you know, I'm the first to tell everybody, like, you know, if we're going to train for something big, that's where we go, just because he has it, or if he doesn't have it. I mean, me and Alan have trained together for over 10 years.
He'll go get it.
He'll literally go buy it.
Yep.
Like, oh, we need this. Well, I'll just go buy it. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, okay. And I don't have the ability to do, or it's just not worth it to me. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like, but he has all the best shit. So, I mean, it's funny because a lot of people, especially high level. If you're doing high level stuff, almost everybody goes to just a certain amount of gyms, like Allen being one of them, especially being in Central Florida.
Yeah.
That's where it's kind of a go-to. I mean, if you're down south, Mike, now there's some good guys up north now, Fane and
Yeah, Brett's gym, Iron Vault.
Brett. Yeah, so you the state's starting to get covered now, which I mean, the next thing is going to be, I think, where you start having competition in your area, which could be good or bad.
Yeah.
This is kind of off subject, but you're a gym owner now.
Yes.
Which a smaller facility, which is the same way I am.
A little bit bigger than Allen's place.
Yeah. So, I started out at 1,500 square feet, and at 6 years later, so I'm in 4,000 now. And I've been kind of wanting to touch base on this. It kind of makes sense to talk about it with you. This is kind of getting off subject, but so we'll come back around.
Yeah.
But it's relative to your life and my life. Like we were just talking before this, as you're starting to see some of these facilities are closing.
Right.
I'm not going to mention names here, but there's two that just kind of hit the dirt here recently. The one we were talking about earlier, I don't know his reasonings. I don't know if it's financial. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's sad to see, to me, because you have all these commercial gyms and you have, everybody has that outlet. You can choose any one you want. I mean, Lakeland probably has, how many you think, John?
Goodness.
10 at least.
At least.
Huge chains. Now, we're not talking about little gyms here. We're talking about big chains just in Lakeland where we're from. And I know one of the problems I've had, and I don't know if you have or not, I can't speak for you, but we'll have people come in here, and this has been from day one, and talk about how they hate these places. I can't stand where I'm at. There's too many people. There's all these broccoli head kids and all this bullshit. I hate, that all they can tell me 100 different reasons why they hate it. And the minute you tell them that it's more of an expensive cost to come to a true facility, it's crickets, dude. They're like, oh, so if it's, if you're $100 a month, well, dude, that's $25 a week. You can't eat lunch
Right.
twice in a week for that. You cannot do it. And people look at you like you're crazy. And you're like, well, I don't have the budget for that. No, well, you don't have the want or no,
you don't care enough.
You don't have the drive for it. It's not a priority for you.
You can create the budget for that.
Sure. And, I think we talked about this before where, we were talking about people. I know for a fact, I know people that live close to some decent training facilities, let's say 45 minutes to an hour, and they're like, that's way too far for me. And I'm like, so you would rather stay where you're at? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So when you have a place, you have facilities popping up, it's frustrating because, especially now, it's just fresh in my mind because two gyms very close to us, good guys, good group of people too that are no longer going to be there. It's like, if you're not going to spend the money in these places or, keep these places open, then you're going to have no choice but to go to a commercial gym, and you're not going to do strongman training in a commercial. It's not going to happen. Yeah, and if you are, you're going to have a rough way to go. You know what I mean? So
all your own equipment, people are going to be bitching at you.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's done that. I was probably fortunate enough. I was never in commercial gyms. I started out in very hardcore gyms my whole life, so it's so foreign to me to go to any kind of commercial gym. Like it's such a if I have to go to use a sauna or something, cut weight. I'm just looking around
it's
like
odd.
I'm
shaking your head. Yeah.
I'm like, what?
It's weird.
The hell is going on here?
Yeah. Oh, I was very fortunate. The gym I started at in 87, 88, when I moved down here to Florida.
Yeah.
It was a true working gym like this.
Yeah.
No mirrors, no air conditioning.
No.
One big garage door and a fan.
Blue collar,
and you
working
went in
class.
there, and everybody in there lifted for a purpose.
Right.
It wasn't just go in and just train for whatever. So I was very fortunate for my start personally.
Right. And
what gym was that?
It was called Gator Fitness. It was down in Lakeland.
Are they still open?
No. This was back in '88. The guy his name was Dennis Jackson. Matter of fact, that red leg press right there is one of two that he hand built.
That's about, what do you think, about 40 years old?
That's
thing?
38, 35, 40 years. So he had a fabrication shop in one part of the warehouse and his gym in the other part. And he would build equipment. There's some other gyms around here that have benefited from his equipment, but he would make everything, fabricate it, hang it up, powder coat it. And that was the gym I started at. When I moved down here, I started working at the Polk County Sheriff's Office, and one of the members there was a power lifter. And he told me about the gym. And that was the first one I went to. So they took me under their wing and got me going and everything.
Some of that's kind of been lost too. You know what I mean?
It has.
Elders that would kind of pull you to the side and like, hey, dumbass, don't do that. Because now if you say that to people, they're offended,
Oh.
and they're going to go tell their mom or their dad. And back then it was the same way. I think I've said this before. I started at a place called Main Street Fitness, which you knew.
Right, I knew. Yeah, Berto.
Very hardcore gym.
Yes.
No AC, second floor,
Second floor.
and it was literally the second floor above an antique store.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
They loved you.
You would drop deadlifts, and they would come up, guys. I'm like, what do you want me to do? So interesting place, But there was guys in there that'd be like, "Hey, dumbass, don't do that shit here."
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, okay, and you were smart enough to listen, like, because these guys didn't play.
Right.
These guys weren't these. These were the guys that had their work boots on still. They had their Walmart work boots on and gloves. They all used to train in there.
And you can't do that in a box gym.
Hell no.
Hey, dumbass, don't do that. You're going to be
They'll
kicked
yell at
out or
you.
fight.
Well, you remember going to you as well went to when we go to Kelly Rec as well at the
Oh,
rec
yeah.
center,
Yes.
and you would have a bunch of straight killers in there, dude.
Yeah.
Like a straight
Yes.
prison yard in there.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Multiple guys benching 500 pounds, just
Wow.
touch and goes, just
Yeah.
bouncing the shit out of it. But these are guys you would not want
You
to.
will not want to mess with.
You would not want to play with.
Right.
Yeah. Will not want to fight this man.
And those are the type of gyms that a lot of guys started at, and there's something to be said about that, learning proper etiquette, and that's definitely something that I've taken with me. Like, you don't do too much dumb shit here.
Right.
You can do it one time, and I'm going to tell you, hey man, we don't do that here.
Right.
And we've had to throw people out that came in. We had one not too long ago that just didn't get it. You're only going to tear so much of my stuff up.
Was it the guy you were telling me about?
You probably know who this guy is. He's a strange individual, man.
Yep, that's the word you used to describe him before.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
And we all tried to talk to him and kind of like, hey.
And at the end of the day, I had multiple people say, man, Scott, you can help this guy. And I'm like, nah, fuck that guy, man. Like, I can only try to help you so much, and you're not my kid, man. I have a son.
Yeah.
And my son knows better than that. So
Right.
I expect at least that.
Social
You know
skills
what I
should not have to be taught.
I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
So
It's just people are so odd. And then you kind of feel like an asshole, but if you're not in a facility like this, if you're not like a dictator,
Yeah.
you're going to lose your atmosphere. That's the reason I'm out here by myself. That's the reason we're very small. I'm invite only.
Mm-hmm.
When you try to find me, there's no sign on the door.
Right.
There's no sign by the road.
Yeah.
If you find us, then you may belong here.
Yeah.
If not, then you didn't put forth the effort.
Right.
You don't deserve to be. I mean, I hate to be a dick like that, and we do that to keep our atmosphere.
The
And because if you
culture.
don't, absolutely, culture is everything.
It is.
And especially, you start in your own gym, you start to see it. If it goes more than just gym memberships and
Yeah.
all this bullshit, and you build relationships with people, and it's not like I'm saying you have to sing Kumbaya with everybody and go eat Thanksgiving dinner with everybody.
Right.
But you're going to be cordial and you're going to be supportive,
Yeah.
which is very hard to find in any gym anymore.
Yeah.
Loyalty is fading, a lot, even in the sport, because the sport has gotten so big. I think loyalty and all that stuff came easier when it was smaller, because you had a very small pool, and now you have. So of course, in this shit, like you've got a different personality. You have a different way of doing your things on social media.
we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
So some people take it serious. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I'm sure at some point, who knows? Somebody might call you out in person.
Yeah.
You're gonna. Who knows? Because I don't get into social media too much.
Right.
I probably should, but I just can't do it, man. Like, I haven't found a way I want to do it. You know? What I mean?
Yeah.
And I get it, man, because even trolling people, like, it brings interest.
It
You know what
does.
I mean,
It brings a lot of traction to your page.
so half the shit do you think? Are you serious with it? Like, are you trolling a lot of people?
Oh no, dude! This is all by design.
Because I've seen you post things where people like want to like fight. You.
Yeah.
They're pissed off and
Well, the way I see it is, it's like this. I don't know this person, and so first of all, I never say anybody's names.
Mhm.
Right. Like,
Right.
I'm very vague and indirect with things that I say. So I attack concepts and ideas.
you
and
think
things
people
like
are
that.
like, is this guy talking about me? Like, is
I'm
this
sure. I'm sure there are. I'm sure. Like, here's the thing: if you're offended by something that I've posted, it's because you're the person doing that shit,
Right.
and you deserve to be offended. Like when I post about coaches, like just not taking care of their clients the right way, and like you read that and you get mad. Good. You're the reason why.
Sure.
Maybe
Maybe you should evaluate yourself.
Yeah, maybe you should evaluate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's times where I've talked about somebody directly from my ideas, but I never call them out.
Mhm.
I might hear about, let's say, Coach Johnny did this to his client, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
that's bullshit. Let me turn that into a post. And next thing you know, is a 5 million views, and people are like all resonating with it. I'm like, damn, there's a lot of people that are doing this to their clients.
Yeah.
So most of what I post is satirical, meant to make people laugh. Sometimes though, it all stems from an idea that exists in real life, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, because everybody goes about it different ways. You know what I mean? So sometimes I don't know where people are coming from. I'm like, fuck the. And I do see other people. One guy in particular that and I'm not going to mention his name just because it really just has anything to do with me.
Sure.
You can if you want. But he's a nice guy. I've met this guy a couple of times, but I've seen him like getting on your posts, like kind of calling you out. I don't want to say his name, dude. He's a good guy, and he's legit. He's a legit dude, like 198 or 200 pounder.
Current?
Yeah, kind of on his way out, I think, a little bit due to injuries and stuff. I don't know if you're picking up on who I'm talking about, but like,
I think you're talking about. Is he really shredded?
Yes.
Yeah. we're actually it's weird. Yeah, we're friends.
So that's the thing. I didn't know if it was serious or because I've seen him call a bunch of other people out.
Yeah.
But you meet him in person. I don't know if you ever met him in person. He's super nice. Like, he's always been very nice to me. Very nice guy, but I see him get on people's asses and posts. I'm like, damn, dude. Like,
yeah. We're friends, and sometimes he is a little bit of a dick to me, but I'm like, it's all right. Like I'm a dick to
right.
I'm putting myself in this atmosphere.
Well, if you're gonna dish it out, you got to be
for sure,
for sure. Like it's on my rule book. Like on my board. You better have thick skin in here. Like it's. Yeah, you can't dish it out because you're going to get it so bad.
Well, you saw us bantering back and forth. So I mean, and that's this. You know, we've been friends for 25 years. We know it's not personal.
Well, you might be talking about in particular a post I made about me deadlifting 600 pounds on the axle, saying that there's very few people who can do that.
I remember that.
Yeah. So then,
same guy.
Yeah. So he comes.
Good guy though, man.
He's
a nice guy.
He's helped me.
And strong as hell too.
Very strong.
Very strong.
He. I mean, if there's someone that can talk shit, it's him. You know.
He's legit, for sure.
So he, but we all live in a little bit of an echo chamber, right? So when I said, 600-pound axle deadlift, very few people, under 200 pounds can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And his comment was like, I know like 15 off the top of my head. And I'm like, okay, that's 15 people that like, what about the rest of the world? Like, how many people under 200 pounds? I didn't say very few people in strongman.
Right.
In the world here, we're talking about, I think it's fair to say that like probably less than 0.05%.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of people. So I think that my point was fair, but I think he was looking at it in the echo chamber of like, oh, for your weight class, especially you, someone who tries to compete at a high level. There's a lot of guys doing that
in the niche that we're in. Sure.
So in the niche, like his point, like like that's still kind of like mid tier, but in the world, it's
both sides are relevant.
Yeah,
you would say, but
that's funny.
But you see people, go in on people sometimes, and I'm like, is this serious or is it not serious? And and a lot of times nothing, stuff doesn't get called out. Like, and another thing I see a lot on social media that to me is odd is people will talk a lot of shit before comps, and then if it doesn't go right, like I kind of want to call people out, like, hey man,
what happened?
You talked a lot of shit. Like, what happened, dude? Because then just at least tell your side of the story.
Right.
Because if not, then maybe don't talk as much shit. I've always been in the downside of it. Like I would rather just show up and fuck people up if I can, dude. If it comes to me, you know what I mean, and I have a great day, I just like that so much more. Where people are like, "Damn, dude."
See, that's the way it used to be because we didn't have social media.
Right.
You just showed up, and we all knew each other.
Right.
And you just showed up and did what you did, and you talked trash there.
Yeah.
And then you all went out to dinner. It was no big deal, and then you went and trained for the next contest.
You remember, before social media, like. Powerlifting USA.
Yeah.
If you was in that, like the top 100, you would always look for your name in the top 100 or the top 50, remember?
Yes.
And it would break it down. And then you could kind of figure out, like, oh, I know who that dude is.
Yeah.
And it was the same people, usually.
Right.
Well, it was a different weight class every month.
Right.
So you had to wait, however many
But there was no other way. There was no other way to really to figure that out.
Exactly.
I mean? So just things have changed.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
So I kind of want to go on a tear at some point and just start calling people out. Like if they don't do worth their shit, I'm like, hey,
what are they going to do?
Nothing.
There's a lot of pressure on you, like you said, like if you just kind of below the radar come in and fuck everybody up, like it's more impressive. Where if you're
that's what
there,
I would rather do.
But the ones who do that are the consistent ones,
right?
Who
Well,
are
it's usually-
humble
But the ones that, and now listen, there are some people that do that and absolutely back it up and wreck shit.
Right.
And I think at some point everybody's waiting on you to fall when you do that.
You put a target on you for sure.
It's like
Big time,
if you're a
yeah.
champ for a long time, people are gonna gun for you, and you really can't take that. Even like me winning Florida's, I won Florida's a long time, so I got beat last year. It's the first time I've been beaten in a long time, dude.
It happens.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
At some point, nobody's staying at the top. You know what I mean?
Well, like Mike says, right? Everything ends.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
And we talked about it many times, and that's why it's important to not make this your whole identity. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of other stuff I do outside of this. I love this stuff, but I know when it's over, no one cares, dude.
Right.
And I say that all the time, and I hate to sound like that, but it's true. I mean,
Well, I think everything goes in stages. You begin your introduction phase, like that we all had. You were Main Street.
Sure.
You had your gym up there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at Gator Fitness. You have your introduction phase, and then you might start competing, and then you might excel. You might be in Powerlifting USA or big on social media, and then you're going to reach that point where things start to, the bumps and bruises, and things start to slow down. Which I'm way past that myself. So I'm in that phase where I'm just trying to help out and give back. I'm staying active at my age, and I'm trying to be, motivation for these younger kids to stay active.
Right. Yeah.
So everything, in my opinion, it's all a phase. So like you're saying, you talk a lot of trash, you come in there, you dominate or whatever, but sooner or later you're going to translate to the next phase.
right.
Yeah.
Like everybody. I mean, it's just life.
Yeah, it happens. So let's kind of circle back around.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go to your first comp.
Mhm.
How did you finish in that? Do you remember?
Well, I mean, it was me and two other guys. I did win.
Okay.
Yeah, I beat Junkyard. Right.
Okay,
So I was competing against him, and there was like one other guy there. Maybe it was his first competition. You know.
Okay.
So but I don't really hang my hat on that too much because it wasn't even like a real contest. It was a fundraiser. Then my second contest was actual real contest up at Jeremy Hornstraw's gym. It was Seminole Strength.
Yep.
Won that, and then I Space Coast Classic. After that, won that, and then I was still training at Iron House during all this time, and I was becoming friends with Rich Yu and stuff, and he told me about the Strongman games, official Strongman. He's like, yeah, so you can just submit your videos online, and if you make the top 10, you'll go. And so that's what I did. I trained up. It's 2019 now. At that point, I did some powerlifting meets, the USPA and stuff in between there, but I was kind of on my way out of powerlifting. I wanted to do strongman.
So this is the beginning, because OSG's only been around since 17, maybe 17,
Might have been
18?
the first year. So I think it was. So mine. I know there was OSGs before mine for sure.
So you did one in Florida.
Yes, I did the
Okay,
one.
'cause
Yeah.
it was in North Carolina before that for a couple years, I believe.
Yeah.
So let's say around 17 would have been, and then Len moved it down here around 19.
Yeah. So 19 is when I did my OSG.
Okay, yeah, I was there that year.
Mhm.
And you're coming in against. They're some of the best in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
That year, oh my gosh! First you had Rich Yu,
mhm.
then Stout, and then Rafael Padres was there.
Yep.
Out of the 175s. I don't know if there was another good Florida guy there, but and then that was me. So all of those guys, so I placed 12th that year. So 4 out of the top 12 were from Florida.
Yeah.
It's pretty dang good.
Yeah, I mean, very good 175er. I think Stout's probably the best ever 175er to come out of Florida.
Yeah.
You also had John Adams.
Yeah. He was kind of done by the time I started.
He was probably on his way out. I mean, he's still in very good shape and still
Tremendous
fun to
shape,
train.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the best probably ever to come out. In I'd say the world have been out of Florida. I mean, Rich Yu, a lot of guys going to the Arnold many times. And I want to say Stout's won world. Stout's going to be on the podcast here soon. Interesting story he has as well. And a great guy. One of the nicest guys ever.
Him too, yeah, so nice.
Strong as hell, man. Still, and I'd say he could definitely he could go either way. He could be probably one of the strongest 200s as well to ever come out of the state. I mean, he's a bigger guy. You know what I mean? He's not a small guy.
He's very stout.
Yeah, no pun intended. Yeah. I've seen some interesting stories with Stout where he's missed weight. I've been there and I can't wait to talk to him about that.
You told me that. Like I remember a lot of things you said to me. One of the things you said is you'd never seen a guy walk in the sauna and come out heavier.
That was in Reno.
Yeah.
he was listening to a lot of different people, I think, and I want to get his side of the story.
Yeah.
And it's something we'll sit and laugh about. But literally, I mean, he was with me, John Adams. We're all cutting, 20 pounds or whatever the hell it is. And Stout's in there. And I remember I think we were doing steam room and sauna because this place had everything. And when we came out, I remember him getting on the scale, and he was either a little bit heavier or he lost nothing in like 30 minutes.
Wow.
And we're like, and we knew right then, like because he had to go up. He could beat it. I want to say, I could be wrong, but he still finished 8th that year in the 200s.
Wow.
And that's after their hellacious cut.
Right.
Your refeed's not going to be any good at that point.
No.
But he's just a strong guy, man.
Yeah, he's great.
But I think as far as 175, or like the best, you would have Stout, Rich U for sure. Ralph has done great. Ralph's been to
OSG a couple times.
OSG and the Arnold many times. Like, and a great guy, another good guy. And I don't know if I'm missing anybody else as far as like high level.
I think that's it. I mean, there was a guy that recently competed at the Arnold. He beat me at Florida's in 2022. Kind of came out of nowhere. Mixon.
I think
Edgar Mixon.
I remember him. Like,
Yeah.
that was like his first comp
I think it was his first comp. Yeah,
ever.
And
Yeah,
then he
like, it was very crazy.
yeah, he was impressive.
And there's people like that, and that's another reason why. Just because I don't know somebody's name, and a lot of people do this, they'll get on. Now you have the scoreboard where
Iron
you can
Podium,
look up who's on Iron Podium, whatever. And it doesn't matter if you don't know somebody, just because you're going to know some heavy hitters, but there could be a guy show up there and beat the brakes off that's never hit like that guy. I remember
I'm learning it.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like I try to keep quiet, man, because I'm not going to get there and somebody beat the hell out of me. And they're like,
unknown.
Yeah.
which had happened to you.
Yes.
That was that guy's first comp.
It was.
And the dude he did very well. I don't even know if he still competes at all.
He doesn't. I actually became friends with him.
Mhm.
No, he's a real cool guy, man. Like, I'm kind of jealous of his life, honestly. Well, it's unfortunate. I don't want to talk about his business, but he had a death in the family.
Okay.
But inherited a fair amount of money.
Mhm.
And he did what everybody says they're going to do when they get money. He went out and bought some land in the woods. And,
Good for him, dude.
Lives off the fat of the land.
Good for him, man.
Literally, like, I'll send you his Instagram page. You got to see how he lives.
Yeah.
Built his house by hand.
Wow.
Built his shower by hand. Like, the dude's living like Bear Grylls, but big
Good
time.
for him.
Hey, but he was an outlier, dude.
Yeah.
Because I remember that
He's
year.
great.
And the dude just showed up out of nowhere. And I remember it was Alan or somebody's like, that kid's never competed before. I was like, what?
Crazy.
He competed in powerlifting, but not strongman.
And that was a Plat Plus. It was an Arnold qualifier. So first comp, the kid wins Florida Strongest and gets an invite to the Arnold.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was bitter after that for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, even coming.
He beat me by not only 1 point, but 1 rep. on the
No
sandbag.
way. Wow.
Yeah.
Yep, 1 rep on the sandbag. It
That's
came
crazy.
down to the last event.
Those are a little hard to
Just
swallow.
I got 10 loads. He got 11.
Wow.
Dude.
That's
just-
crazy.
That's insane.
And then right behind me was Steve, Strongman Steve.
Big
Oh, yeah.
strong man Steve.
Yep, so it was like the score was like between first and third was like 14, 15, 16.
Wow. Crazy.
It was a fight.
Yeah, we got to get Strongman Steve on here.
Yeah,
too.
wow.
Another good 175er
he's
in
crazy,
his
yeah.
own right.
But,
I'm saying.
I will talk about that competition for a second.
Mhm.
Give me your opinion on what happened. So I was a little upset.
Is this the dumbbell story?
Oh, yeah.
I remember this.
So dumbbells misloaded. It's supposed to be 145. It's loaded to 165.
It happens. Yeah, it happens. Mm-hmm.
So everybody takes a shot at the dumbbell. Everybody zeroes it except me. I get 1 rep. Everybody else zeroes it. Somebody goes and complains and says, oh, it was misloaded. And then they make everybody retake it. And I think there were 6 competitors. So I still won, but instead of me leading by 6, I now led by 1 point. So I mean, personally, I'm biased, of course, but I think if everybody takes it,
That's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
That's such a weird situation because I think that was my weight that year. It was 165. I don't remember.
I just remember that ours was 145 for max reps, and it was misloaded by 10 pounds because they didn't account for like the end caps that were 10 pounds.
Right.
Because it's a big dog.
Mhm.
Was it a big?
It was a big dog, yeah.
Okay.
It has like the texture on the dumbbell.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough one, man. I never heard the inner workings of that or what. I remember you were the only one that had pressed it. So some people were like, well, he should have won it. And then, I don't know whose call that was. I don't know if it was Alan's call or whose call.
I don't know
I don't
whose
know.
it was, but you know, I mean, obviously, like either here nor there, it doesn't really matter. But just I thought it was fair for me to. I mean, I got a rep.
So all the competitors in that division
Everybody took it.
hit it.
Yep.
And zeroed.
And I got a single rep. So
I don't know, man. That's a tough call.
The only thing that they could have done, maybe, this is hindsight.
yeah.
I don't know, is let everyone else do the correct weight.
Mhm.
Because basically you did a Trump weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so they could have let everybody else battle out for the remaining positions.
Right.
I don't know any other way that you could have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because if everybody zeroed, that point spread just doesn't work. You know what I mean? And it's a misload. So if somebody was to have said that, brought that up at the time, like, you know, hindsight's 2020, be like, hey,
Or give me an extra point or something.
something. I don't know.
Because like I accumulated fatigue on that event.
Big
right?
time.
I mean, luckily like how.
I think that was our weight. Maybe that's why they loaded that, because I did it. I competed that year.
Yeah, at 200, I think, right?
And I think ours was I want to say it was 165 because the 231 was 185. I remember because me and Rich were training together.
Okay.
And I remember because I had some like tough guys that year.
Yeah. That was a good year.
I forget the guy. Oh, what's his name, man? Nice dude. Came down from Mills's place.
Up in Buffalo, right?
No, Mills is in Connecticut, I believe.
There's another gym called Mills in Buffalo.
No, well, Matt Mills owns Lightning Fitness. It's the biggest strongman gym in
all it's
in the
orange,
country.
right? Black and orange, yeah.
It's a 30,000 square foot unit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. And Matt Mills is a great guy, very nice guy. But damn it, what's his name, man? Nice kid. I still talk to him a little bit on Instagram. But he came down, and there was a former national champion there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a rough year for me.
That was a tough competition.
Mhm.
It was. I mean, I remember all the classes were like,
Yeah, everybody was
Just
going at it.
stacked.
Yeah, everybody was going at it. That was a good year.
Stacked
And that was a good Florida comp, you know, heavy. Florida's
Mhm.
always very heavy, especially
Yep.
the years that it's Arnold Invite, which is Ramirez is that kid's name. You know Mike Ramirez?
oh yeah,
So he came down
Yeah.
too. And that's the first time I'd met him. And he's been through some hellacious injuries since. So I
Yeah.
think he's on the up and up right now. So happy for him to get back in there.
Yeah.
But nice guy and a hell of a competitor.
mm-hmm.
So I had to like really bust my ass that year too. So,
Yeah.
you know, that goes to say that's most Florida comps are very heavy.
I've always
Should
said
be.
if you can hold your own in an arena in Florida, you can hold your own in an arena at OSG or the Arnold. There's just so many good competitors here
Yeah,
in every class.
and that's, you know, there has to remain benchmarks and
Yeah.
for lack of better words, like a gatekeeper, which
Mm-hmm.
you get kind of. I do believe in gatekeeping,
I
and a
do
lot
too.
of people think you're an asshole because
No.
of that, and I'm like, well, then so be it, because we've talked about this,
Mhm.
lots and lots of comps, and this gets brought up a
I
lot,
can't wait to talk about it.
and
Let's bring it up.
well,
I can't wait to talk.
We talk about it
man.
all the time, dude.
well, and you know,
I have some experience as a.
I don't have all the answers, obviously. But
Yeah.
I can tell you what some of the answers aren't. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And hell, like I said, I just said it in the last one. I believe like I want to bring. You know, me and Scott Weeks used to put on Central Florida Strongest Man.
mm-hmm,
Great comp. We run comps very well.
mm-hmm,
We are part of the template of why a lot of these comps today run well.
mm-hmm.
I hate to be. You know, I don't want to pull my. You know. Yeah, but it's true.
It
You know,
is.
we came up with very good
Well,
ways of doing things.
take credit, man. Right?
Yeah, and we put a lot of comps on to that, you know, the right road. And now me wanting to bring my comp back, I don't even know when I can put it back without there's got to be 40 plus shows in Florida. which
There's
is
over
insane.
40 shows, yeah. And you know, you and I talked a little bit about this.
Mhm.
So I guess I'll just kind of lead with it a little bit because I knew we were going to talk about it, and I really want to.
Sure.
It destroyed, and the argument for it is, it's great for new competitors because you know you get more people into the sport.
Mhm.
I don't think you do.
Mhm.
I think what you do is you create a diluted pool, and the comps become less fun because it's you and maybe one or two other people,
Sure.
and you're competing against two guys.
Mhm.
You know, and so like, is that fun going to a competition and competing against two people? I mean, it's better than nothing.
Mhm.
Or sometimes it's no people. And you know, I think there's a reason why there's so many USS shows.
Mhm.
I don't know who makes money on it, but I think somebody's making money every time a show goes on.
I would assume.
I would assume
Yeah.
that someone's making money every time a show goes on, the same person. And yeah, it dilutes the sport. It's bad for promoters.
Sure.
It's bad for athletes. It's bad for people that are vendors, you know, because
Well, you're getting into that some yourself now.
Yeah.
Once you start being a sponsor and a
Mhm.
vendor, you're going to look at things totally different. And I get it. Like
Yeah.
if I wasn't, if I didn't have an apparel company, I wouldn't look at things the same. So I don't fault people for that.
Mhm.
But I think at some point you have to bring it up. Like, listen, if these guys are spending their money setting up, and trust me, no
Right.
one's setting up for free mostly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
paying. These vendors are paying to be there. They're paying for a booth rent. You know, and sometimes they're putting into the sport as far as prize money or whatever.
yeah,
What?
Whatever you're chewing. Dude.
Oh. Sorry, dude.
I was like, what is
I
that?
was like, damn, you got a prize money story?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
No, but like you start looking at things differently. Like if you start looking at things like, okay, my booth is going to be $200, $500. I have the fuel to put in it.
Yeah.
I have this is stuff that a lot of people don't to look at. But if all you got to do is support these people as far as buying a shirt, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's important.
It is. It's
To
very
keep it going, especially when you have multiple comps now. So the way we look at it is like if we're looking at a schedule, we're going to look at like John's doing a show. We're going to go set up where he's at as well. But now, and that used to be the case where it was like we had
couple a year. So
yeah. So let's say even powerlifting and all that we would have on our board, which we have a lot now. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, we got 3 more to go to before the end of the year.
yeah,
But as a sponsor, you start looking at like, can I afford to do all this? Because nothing is guaranteed. Because if someone's not going to support you, and what's going to make the difference? A bigger comp, a bigger show, more competitors, more people coming. You're going to have a better chance to make
Exactly.
some kind of money. And make no mistake about it, every vendor is there to make money.
Of course.
The love of the sport only goes so far, and it does
Right.
not pay your bills.
It doesn't.
So I start looking at it like if you got a comp, like you said, like we had one of my guys signed up for a comp, and there was 9 total people, 9.
Yeah.
In the whole, not his class, in the whole thing, and they
Yeah.
still did the comp.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is insane to me.
It is
like
insane. It's not fun for anybody.
no.
the vendors, the people watching, it's got to suck.
Competitors,
Even the promoter, like
Yeah.
why would you? I don't understand. Like, and I get like you're trying to build a brand or a comp,
Yeah.
which we did as well too.
Yeah.
But hell, the first year that Weech did Central Florida's was great. That was the year. Remember closing the street down.
Yeah, no, I remember Main Street
And
or
when we,
Kentucky, I guess maybe.
yeah, Kentucky, in downtown Lakeland.
Yeah.
And when we bring it back, that's where I want to do it.
Right.
Back where we started. But to bring up the point again, I'm gonna have to step on somebody's toes to bring it back. Which
Yeah.
back in the day, the promoters would be very conscious of that. Like, hey, you're in April, I'm gonna come in June.
Yeah.
That way, it gives competitors even enough time to where they're not stacked into the next week. Which
Yeah.
you see that
Right.
all the time now, and I just don't understand the logic of it. I don't understand where it's going to be. And we've talked about it. A lot of people talk about it. A lot of this shit's going to take care of themselves.
Right.
A lot of these
Eventually.
comps they're going to fizzle out because
Yep.
nobody's going to come to it.
Well, that just
Um,
happened, and so it's not like it's like a secret or anything. This last competition was like All American Strongman. Do you know any of the details of that?
I knew the only thing I heard, and I could be wrong, is that the promoter didn't show up.
No.
Like even did he show up at all, or
He
just
showed
very
up
late?
like 30 minutes after the show was supposed to start with no equipment. It said the U-Haul is on the way.
Wow.
They had to. I've heard this from multiple
Wow.
accounts, so I'm gonna come out and say this.
Well, and I know nothing about it, and I don't even know who put that on.
I don't either.
I don't know who. I know nothing.
I don't know who it is, but it took them 10 hours to do 4 events
Mhm.
that they had to makeshift put together because a lot of the issue, the U-Haul never showed up.
Oh wow.
No way.
They were doing Atlas stones in the sand on the beach after dark.
That's
So there was supposed to be 6 events. They had to cut it down to 4.
mhm.
Again, still took them 10 hours. And
How many competitors were in this?
there was, from what I understand, it was a 20 plus competitor show.
Yeah.
I had a few people competing there. And
Even that's pretty small to me,
it is, but nowadays, if you get 20 competitors at a show, that's considered full here.
and that's bad.
And it
That's
is bad.
bad. I mean, because when looking back, like we used to get pissed because there was only
30.
well, there would only be like let's say 3 comps in the state of Florida. Like,
Oh, I see what
it's
you're saying,
kind of a monopoly. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I think
looking
member
back,
comp.
I'm like, shit. Take me back to that because people would show up.
Yeah.
whether it be our comp or Mike's comp, because I even think Mike's comp took a big hit this year compared to what normally he would have, because there were so many comps around that it's taken. And, a lot of the competitors, it's going to be taking novice competitors.
Right.
So if a lot of novices come somewhere else, and that could be enough signups where it paid for the promoters' trophies or T-shirts, and all this shit's expensive.
It is, yeah. It is, and I had an athlete compete there. It's relatively new. That was one of their first experiences of a competition.
Yeah, that's not too good.
No, and I was like,
that's not normal. Yeah, let them know that's not normal.
That's why I said, I promise you, this is not what you're normally going to get yourself into. That was poorly done. They didn't even give out awards at the end. They said, I'm going to mail the awards to you.
Oh, my Lord.
Wow.
Dude.
Yeah.
John, did you run this comp?
Yeah, right.
It was bad. It was bad. And I mean, if this really wasn't on the fault of the promoter, I feel very bad for him. But at the same time, I can't see how it wasn't,
Maybe there's some hellacious backstory,
Maybe
but regardless, you should have had something else in place.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy.
Back when Tom was doing Central Florida's, how many other contests were in?
He was doing Florida Strongest.
Right.
So, how many other comps?
Yes, in Florida's. And then when Alan took it over.
Dude, you're talking about maybe. So Dave Beers is the guy I was trying to remember on the last.
Right.
Do you remember Dave
Yes,
Beers?
that's, of course.
Because he was a firefighter, and
yes.
Dave was strong. Because I told you, him and Elliot used to go at it, and I was thinking, who the hell is Dave Beers? Good guy, and promoted for a long time, but because I think he had Southwest Strongest. I remember there was nothing down south at the time. Mike wasn't even around then.
No.
So you had Dave Beers, because Wayne. Was it Wayne Myers? You remember that used to be involved? He was a promoter down there. I want to say his name was Wayne. I think he was into powerlifting too. But anyway, that was basically it, man.
So Tom was doing Florida Strongest,
yes.
and then you and we started Central Florida.
Central Florida's.
And
you had Dave Beers, Southwest, and at one point, the one guy was doing one down there at Port St. Lucie by Karen and all them down there. I'll think of his name in a minute, because his show was called Samson something. I don't know if you remember.
I remember that. So it was just a few.
That would have been
few shows a year.
That would have been around 2011, 2012.
Oh, yeah, still in high school.
Back in the day,
New York.
Yeah, just a few shows a year.
3 to 4 at the most.
Which is prime.
So now you have
4 competitors.
40 plus.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I'm open for debate on it, and I would love to talk about it, is when you have promoters that have 5 comps a year. Like, I don't understand it at all. I do not understand it, and I would love to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because if it's something I'm missing, then I'm just ignorant to it, because I've never really seen it like that before.
I think it's money driven.
But on the surface, it appears watered down. And
how could you describe it any other way? Like, what benefit is this having?
Yeah.
Like I said, I would love to talk about it. You know what I mean? Because maybe there's an angle I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to act like I do. You know what I mean? But I can tell you it's definitely different from what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And, if it works in the future, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But and like I said, the bullshit is going to take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than, the comps are going to sort themselves out. The competitors are going to sort themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got people that are qualifying for events in certain ways that I don't really agree with. But I don't fault the competitor.
Right.
Some of these systems are flawed. So, like, even with the Arnold now, there used to be one way to the Arnold, basically, or 2 ways. And I talk about the Arnold myself because that was back in the day. It was the only big. There was no OSG.
Right. That
Clash. There was
that
no.
was it. Yeah.
That was world's strongest for lightweight.
That was the Super Bowl of the world,
Mm-hmm.
because there used to be only one. They didn't have the Arnolds everywhere else. So that's the only reason I speak on that. And it was very hard to get to the Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
That was before percentages and all this shit took over, which I've already talked about. But even with the OSGs now, I don't understand even with Strongman Court with the regionals.
Yeah.
Like, if I go to win some of these regionals and I go to the Arnold, then you don't. Why would I go? You're not going to go to nationals. You don't have to.
Right. Exactly.
But if I show up at these comps and no one's there, and I qualify for I'm not faulting the competitor.
Right.
No, don't.
But now you have someone that's playing the game that shows up and they're like, shit, there was nobody here. Now I'm going to the Arnold. Good for them. But what I'm saying is it's going to take care of itself. Because when you get to the Arnold or wherever OSG, you're going to get your ass beat.
Right.
In that situation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you don't belong there. And you're going to get your ass beat.
Right.
And, it's going to show. But there's, like, it just goes back to there's flaws in everything. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I have all the.
There's no perfect system.
Yeah, I don't. But I think some of the things are going to have to change as far as that goes.
I agree with you, man. You know, because when it comes to, like, I'll use like USS Nationals as an example. Like if you compete in a USS show in Florida, you're basically competing to get into the next competition, which is the actual competition.
Sure.
Right? Like USS, like if you go and compete and no one's there, you automatically qualify. That wasn't a competition, right?
See, and that's there, and so even with Strongman Corp, when it was North America Strongman.
Yeah,
I don't even know
NAS.
if
Yeah.
you remember that.
I remember NAS. I remember.
I still
hearing
got
about
shirts from that shit. Dude. Old school, baby. But so if you went to a gold comp and that was a national qualifier, it was only a qualifier in your class if it was like at least 5 athletes or more had to show up. But now they're doing away with that. How does that make sense? Even at OSG qualifier, if you just show up and you're the only person there, should you go? In my opinion, no.
Yeah.
There should be a standard like, hey, there has to be 5 people here, guys.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you what I saw. You can't make this shit up. And I saw this personally to where someone was going to do like it was an Arnold qualifier.
Yeah.
Had to be 5 people. There weren't enough in there. This person that I know paid for people to enter into that bitch. Yes.
Just to have 5.
So they could roll.
Oh, I did that one year. Yeah, 20.
I was like, you did that?
Yeah. So this is what I did. I'll tell you. So
This was at a different state that I saw this, and I was like, holy
this is at Florida. So I was hurt after OSG, and I planned on doing Florida Strongest, but I was hurt, so I couldn't compete. There needed to be 5 competitors in order for it to be an Arnold qualifier. And so
where was this at?
This was Florida Strongest, man. It was in the middle of the road, downtown Orlando.
Oh yeah,
That's the one I missed.
Yeah.
2019.
I love that.
That was another brutal comp.
I wish I could have competed there because it was.
That was a great comp.
It was a cool atmosphere, like
Yeah.
actually people there, like
That was a great comp.
Yeah.
middle of the
It was
city.
cold, I remember.
Yeah. So my friends like Richie Stout, Richie Yu, Raphael, you know, they were like,
The bunch of heavy hitters there.
yeah. And now, keep in mind, those guys are guys that every single one of them deserve to go to the Arnold.
Sure.
You're like, those are guys.
Well, they'd already been many times.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they were like, hey, you know, like kind of need some help, man. Like we need a 5th competitor.
I remember this because I think all you threw.
That's it. Dude,
That's right.
sandbag
I
toss.
remember this.
I'm a little pissed off, a little bitter about that too, because I won that event, but they didn't give me my points.
No way.
I do remember that.
Yep. Yeah. So that.
I forgot about that.
So like in my mind, I was like, I'm doing a favor here, but also those guys deserve to fight for that spot.
See, even that's different because you got guys that have been there multiple. I mean,
Right.
all those guys you just said, I believe had. I don't know if Ralph had podiumed, but I know Stout
He was at
and
least
you
there.
had both, and I think Ralph is like maybe like top 4. Arnold, like I'd have
pretty
to
close.
Yeah,
He was somewhere up there.
legit competitor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little different story,
Right.
I mean, but if you got people that are just very new to the
Mhm.
sport, and they're going to go anyway, I'm like, which there again, it's not the competitor's fault, but
No, it's
they're going to
not.
get their ass handed to them. Which I mean,
It's a
hey,
learning experience.
absolutely, and it's going to be, yeah. And it's a lot of people when they make it to nationals, however they make it, and you know, a lot of people know like, man, I can only do 3 of these events, and I'm like,
Right.
if you can at least do half the events, I say go ahead. You know,
Right.
you might surprise yourself the day of it, and it's a
Mhm.
learning experience. But
learning
you're going to get your ass whipped, but
Yeah.
as you should. You know,
Yeah, that's the thing with my athlete Christina that was here earlier today. She signed up for the OSG qualifier. Nobody else signed up. She asked, should I still do it? I said, absolutely, you should still do it. You
and
know?
they still let her go.
They still let her go. Yeah,
That's insane.
I think so. Yeah, I think that
There should be minimums to me,
I agree with you.
and there again, not her fault.
It's not
I'm
her
not.
fault.
If she goes, that's on her.
Yeah. So I told her, I said, like, if you can do all the events at OSG, like if you can not zero anything,
That's a plus.
let's do it. You know.
Sure.
So she's not at risk for zeroing anything, but
Yeah.
also like looking at her class, she's going to beat some people there. So she's
Okay.
even though she didn't beat anybody in the qualifiers,
Mhm.
she is going to beat people there, or at least she's very capable of it. You
Yeah,
know?
and there again, like I said, it's just something that has to be fixed. And back to that story is why are there not people there?
Right.
Why is that? Why is there not at least 5 people in that class? Like, to me, too many comps that are even
Yeah.
affecting the bigger
Yep.
qualifiers like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I almost went to that qualifier. I talked to Lynn about maybe setting up there,
Yeah,
And
you told me that.
the
Yeah.
only reason I didn't go is because it was my birthday, and I was like,
That's right.
I'm not doing that
You
shit.
told me that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go hang out with my family, but there's problems here. You know what I
There are.
mean? And you don't want to sit because Lynn puts on one of the best comps ever. I
Oh,
mean,
gosh.
OSG is a great comp,
Gold standard.
and as far I don't like if you guys ever set up there, Lynn.
No, we.
I'm saying
wanted
if you
to,
do in the
but-
future though, he treats you like gold.
Yeah.
Like some of the best we've ever been treated as a vendor.
I love him. He's so
Lynn and his
nice.
people, and I have I'm not saying I have nothing to gain by this, but he puts on a great comp and he
Mhm.
treats his vendors. And from what I understand, the athlete's very good. But is there flawed systems in there that they're going to have to fix to keep him afloat? Because he
Right.
can't afford to keep doing
It's a business.
comps when nobody exactly.
It's a business.
And just for the love of the sport, ain't going to do it.
Right.
You know?
So with Christina's situation, and we have I gave her very, very realistic expectations, and I
Sure.
told her why I want her to do this. Competing at OSG will ignite something inside you that you cannot get somewhere else.
Mhm.
Just being there with all those athletes and just being in that arena, she's going to be very good. She comes from a background of MMA and rowing,
Mhm.
and she's very good at both of those things. And I wanted her so badly to make this her main sport,
Right.
which she now has. And I knew there was no way that she was going to do that unless, because she's been to worlds for rowing and all that stuff. There's no way that she was going to get that hunger without experiencing the highest level, because she's the type of person that once she gets there, the first thing she's going to think about is how do I get back?
Right.
And I want to be better next time.
Sure. Yeah. And like I said, that's good for her.
Yeah.
It's just that, there's got to be different ways. And the same, what started this whole conversation is there's so many shows. There has to be an answer somewhere in the middle
Yeah.
for this. Like something that, to me, if let's say I'm a state chair,
Yeah.
I would have a checklist. And if you can't meet these basic things, let's look at this again 6 months from now.
Right.
Because if I'm giving you these checklists, you don't have the equipment, you don't have everything nailed down, you don't have really the ability to get 40 competitors.
Right.
To me, would be standard.
I think so too.
And without that,
30 to 40. Yeah.
I don't think it's asking too much, because even if you roll up and there's a comp with only 30 people, that's not a lot of people at all.
Not when you
Well,
divide them
think
out.
about this
At all.
Like
For the-
my contest that we put on, we promoted more than any other contest I've ever seen. We gave out $5,000 of cash prizes. It was a Static Monsters World Qualifier. It was a Nationals Qualifier. We gave away the coolest medals you've ever seen. I don't know if you ever saw them, but they look like Flava Flav, like
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
giant medals. Like
Nice.
these medals were like $100 each. We got 38 competitors.
So you lost your ass on that.
Oh, we lost our ass. But
So-
we knew that though. We knew that going in. I said I don't want to do a show unless it's going to offer things that other shows don't offer.
So what do you think? Where is the downfall to where you offer that much money and people still don't show up? Like I don't know what the answer is.
Well,
I mean, it's
so
marketing or-
my business partner loves strongman, and he's pretty wealthy, and he truly wants to grow the sport. And he asked me, because I told him, I said, I don't want to, like, there's too many shows. I don't want to contribute to this problem that we're having. I said the only way that we can do it, or I'd be comfortable with it, is if we offer something so above and beyond that other shows can't be like, oh well, ours, they can't compete with what we.
Yeah,
what
but
we
you
had.
can't. That's not sustainable.
No, and we
Yeah.
don't plan to continue to do that. But we wanted to we just loved the sport. We wanted to give people something cool, like a good competition, And the way I saw it was Static Monsters was going to happen anyways, whether I put one on or not,
Sure.
So Static Monsters is
Okay, so the same thing, and it's not. I don't think it's your fault. And I know Big Nick down south had one on the same day.
Mhm.
I don't know who controls that, and I don't know why that's allowed. Like
Yeah.
to me, I thought it used to be one in the state.
Mhm.
That's the way So when I heard there was more, I was like, "What is going on?" Like I guess I'm
there
ignorant
was
to it.
3.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Like, so now
It's gotta
even
be
that's
money,
being
yeah.
watered down, but it can't be. It's not good for you guys.
No,
It wasn't good for Nick.
and we wanted to combine our contests, but the problem is that his was through Strongman Corporation and ours was through USS.
So Static Monsters, you can do either. I don't even know how this works. I don't.
It was so the way that they have it set up is Static Monsters, it can now be a part of a bigger competition as long as the log press and the deadlift are the first 2 events. After that, you can add more events, and it can be a
Which you guys did.
We did
at your place.
Yeah, we have 5 total events.
Mhm.
And if it's just like any other competition.
Is that like a la carte shit though? Like I don't have to do everything. I can just kind of pick and choose what I'm doing, or I have to do everything.
So our competition itself, we ran a little bit differently. It was a la carte because we awarded people per event.
Okay.
Just like kind of like with Static Monsters, where like biggest log press, biggest deadlift, we gave away prizes for the heavy. Everything was a 1 rep max.
Okay.
So it was 1 rep max squat. It was It was a sandbag over bar max height. It was 1 rep max block press. And then deadlift and the log. So it was a la carte. You didn't have to do everything, but if you wanted to, you could. And we awarded people basically per event. And so it wasn't like a standard contest. It was something we wanted to offer something different, and it was different. Now, here's one thing I don't agree with, but this isn't my jurisdiction to really say. There were people that qualified for USS Nationals through that show, and that's by way of USS National or USS.
So how many events did they have to do?
In order to qualify for USS Nationals, you only have to do 3 events. Which again is not my jurisdiction,
right?
So yeah, I mean, you only have to do 3 events, and of course, you only have to.
There again, it's just weird loopholes. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's weird, like
it's a broken system.
So if I had to, kill myself in a 5 or 6 event thing to finish top 2 or whatever it is, but I could have went to Static Marches instead and did a couple events and
3.
Yeah, 3 events.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that. I mean,
yep, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, is it a money grab, which I've been USS Nationals, and for what it is, it was ran okay. 600-something competitors in one day, which is insane.
That's a lot.
Insane. And, but, a big portion of that was novice people.
Yeah, didn't they have a novice nationals?
They do. They have novice classes.
What's the point of that?
Well, and we spoke about that on the first podcast with Reed.
Sure,
what's the point of that?
And that's exactly what I said. I said, I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a money.
It's got to be money,
which is fine.
But there's better ways to earn money.
I know
you're selling I feel like you're selling something to somebody that doesn't really know what they're buying. Like if you go and you say, "Oh, you can qualify for novice nationals," like somebody doesn't really know what that means until you've been in the sport for a few years. You're like, "Oh, novice nationals, that's kind of cringy."
What's the whole intent of novice? Just to get them used to the sport and used to the events.
It's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even that's changed. Like we talked about before, like even the novice brackets have changed where you can stay in it for a while now, which it did not used to be that way. And but I mean, everything's changing. Everything is evolving. Some of the things I'm not going to agree with, which is fine. It's.
But like you said, and we've talked about it's money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so with that comp being done, is that something that you guys would do again and just not offer the money, or?
So again, we're like my business partner is pretty wealthy, and he just loves the sport and wanted to do something cool. I'm not quite sure what our plans are for the future, but I've always said, and I'll still stand by this. I want my show to be something that people are like, that was an awesome show, and I'm glad I did it, and I can't wait to do it again. I want it to be something special because there's so many shows that aren't special, and to be honest with you, they're shitty. There's stuff like I talked about that just happened up in St. Pete. Like that's not good. That's not acceptable.
Right.
So I would only do another one if it was gonna make the community better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our show did make the community better because out of that show, I had 3 people compete, and they're hooked on the sport. They loved it.
Cool.
It was so fun for them. So I think I made the sport better. I put money in people's pockets. So yeah, I think that was a good thing for them.
Anytime you can get somebody else interested and that becomes their lifestyle or part of their lifestyle, I mean that's just awesome.
I had a just on like a promotion for my gym as well. It was good for my gym.
So your gym's been there about a year.
We're gonna have our 1-year anniversary the 23rd of December.
Cool.
So right at a year, and then we talked about this. What you're talking about now is culture building, which some people get it, some people don't, but it's really everything. I think Mike has done one of the best jobs of anyone of building a culture. I mean, Mike has an absolute culture on its own.
Funny part about that is when we went down for America's Strongest Man, my team wanted to go to Battle Axe so badly. It was like an hour and a half away.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, guys, like Battle Axe is awesome, but like the trouble we're gonna have to go through to get there is kind of a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
traffic's horrible.
we could train at Broward Barbell, which is 15 minutes from our Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, no, we really want to go. We really want to go. And I'm like, okay. So I talked to Mike. Mike let us in. Blah 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 blah. And one of my guys that was with me, he opens it up and he's just looking around. He's like,
It's a small place.
he's like, this is Battle Axe. I said, yeah. He's like, wow, I get it now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's like, this is literally all culture.
Yeah.
He was
100%.
expecting like the mecca of strongman.
Yes.
And so when I walk into Battle Axe, I love it because I love the culture.
Mhm.
Some people might, people are going to walk in, they're going to be like, what is this place?
Mhm.
What does this stuff do? There's
Turn
2 squat
around, walk
racks.
right back out.
You know? So to me, and I understand it and I appreciate it. And some of the people that I'm bringing into the sport, my gym's a lot like Mike's,
Mhm.
so they understand it. But, it's like you said, culture, and then
Yeah.
learning that.
That's everything. And you kind of you start to figure out, your place isn't for everybody, just like
Right.
my place isn't. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm totally I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like find your spot where you fit, and but it is a little bit harder to build when you're having to hold people to certain standards, and
Mhm.
some people buck that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're like, well, I pay here. I was like, I don't, buddy. This is the way we do things.
This is a
here.
club, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an exclusive place.
I hate to say that it's a privilege, but
It is.
it is.
And
I
if they
mean,
don't understand that, that's on them.
my place, like I said, you come in here, my place is extremely clean.
It's
like I do
jealous.
not, yeah, I do not play.
Makes me feel bad about my place. I walk in here, I'm like, I need to fucking get on these people.
Well, there's certain
Shit.
expectations that have been set forth
Yeah,
with
and
everybody,
Yeah,
and,
sure.
and if they don't follow them, they're reinforced.
Yeah.
To put it nicely.
Yeah.
So
but once you have them buy into it,
Right.
when the people truly buy into it, they appreciate it. And they come in, they know it's going to be clean. You don't have to look for anything here because it's where it should be.
That's where it should
I
be.
promise you. There's weights never left out here.
Yep.
There's not a bar ever left out here. And somebody will do it every once in a while. And usually I'll get a call, hey, man, I'm sorry, man. I'm like, no problem. As long as as people don't make habits of it, like you can use chalk here. I totally understand why people like gyms don't allow chalk because people are assholes with it.
They are. Yeah.
And people can do whatever they want. They can have it all over them. I don't care. But they know when I come in this bitch, it better be cleaned up.
there's a mop bucket right
There's a
there.
mop right there, mop it up.
And it's not hard.
No.
Mopping up chalk
It
does
takes
not take
No.
2 seconds.
takes 2 seconds. It's a
And
matter of
because of that, like at the end of the day here, I'm not worried about anything.
Right.
Like the most it might be done is the trash doesn't get taken out of the bathroom. That's
Yeah.
about it. Other than
Yeah.
that, but that is culture.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that is how you build standards for yourself. And I think it follows over to people's training where it carries on into life. You know what I mean? You want to be a sloppy piece of shit.
How you do one thing's how you do everything.
Yeah, it's not going to fly here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just building cultures is definitely different. Kind of leads into you have another venture going on.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that, because honestly, I don't really know what you guys are doing.
Okay.
I know if I want to say it was kind of like what Strength Collective is in the same
Kinda, yeah.
instance.
That's what people have told me because I didn't really know what Strength Collective was, but
Mhm.
based on what people have told me about it, it's kind of like that. So
And I don't even know if that's still around. I know Furman. I don't
think it
know
is.
that. I don't know if it is or not.
I don't think it is because I think he's kind of moved on to some other things. So
So explain it from the bottom because
Yes.
I'm ignorant to what
Okay.
you guys are doing.
yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So what we're doing is Strongman's growing, and I feel like Strongman is kind of where CrossFit was in like 2008. Like a lot, like people know Strongman competitors' names now.
Sure.
Like everybody, if you walked into any gym, most people would be able to name one Strongman, probably a couple at this point. And so a lot of people don't know where to start.
Mhm.
They have Strongman can be hard to figure out if you don't have guidance.
Right.
And so what we did is we started a Discord group. Do you know how Discord works?
Not really.
I was ignorant to it before. So this kind of all started because my business partner, he owns the second largest Discord in the world.
Wow.
It's it's like a giant, think of it as like a combination of Facebook and think about it like Facebook, Reddit, and like T Nation. Like it's a place where people can communicate and also educate.
Okay.
So we created a Discord that offers we offer programming, we offer private coaching if that's what you want. We've got a pretty cool merch brand. Do like a lot of educational stuff on there. Like I just did a webinar the other night.
Now is this through a website, like
Yes.
your guys' website, like a private website?
It's a Discord server, which you could think of almost like a website,
Okay.
almost kind of like a Facebook group,
Mhm.
a little bit like that, like a Facebook group and a Reddit forum. You could kind of combine that.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, in there we have templated programs that are built. Some of them are goal based. So, for example, we have like a 16-week deadlift improvement program.
Okay.
We have a 12-week log press improvement program. We have a 18-week powerlifting program. And then we started doing this cool thing where we're picking out, because a lot of my members are here in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So we're picking out shows that we all agree that we're going to do, almost like a gym would. And I'm creating the program for everybody to follow leading up in that contest. So right now we're doing South Carolina Strongest Man.
So that's included, and is there like tiers to this? Like as far as like buy-ins on?
It's $50 a month, and actually right now we're doing a sale. It's $25 a month.
And that's everything.
Everything.
So, and I know that I saw that you had posted that you had Clayton, I believe. Is that correct?
He was, yeah, he was. I don't really know exactly what happened. He was with us, and then he got worried about competing with his own business.
Okay.
Which I kind of understand, but
I got you.
I guess I don't think he was seeing the full picture there, which is fine. I mean, I like Andrew. We're still friends. There's no falling out. Just he didn't think it was a good idea for him.
One of the best athletes ever to come out of Florida. I mean,
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So that's everything. The only thing that's not, I guess you could say, is a tier. If you want me to make you a one-on-one program, that's a completely different service.
Right.
But you have like people doing like nutrition, things like that, or
nutrition templates, like get people like, because like I said, a lot of people in here are we're kind of gearing it towards like newer people.
Mm-hmm.
So like we have nutrition templates in there where we kind of teach you like this is how
basic
macros work.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how I would apply it for certain types of training and things like that. Because nutrition for strongman can be a little bit different than other things because we might train for 3 hours. Like what's your pre, intro, and post workout look like for that?
Let's take a break for a second.
Okay.
So I think we were just talking about the Discord and what it is. So essentially, we offer coaching, education, programming, and just community to people that just want to be a part of it. A lot of these people are new, and they're trying to figure out like if strongman is something that they want to do. And I just want to help guide people and get them in the right direction and just help them avoid mistakes. And so, like I said, it's $50 a month. Right now it's 25. Just doing a doing a deal on that, and then inside. So can you pull up his Discord? All right. So you see on the left there where it says general, nutrition, guest topic request, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of channels like that. We have a general chat. We have a nutrition chat, things like that, and then each coach has a channel. And in your channel, I don't know if they have one, but
I was trying to see if we can get yours up, but I don't know. I think you have to send me an invite.
Probably have to send you an invite. I wish I could have.
But yeah, this just
yeah.
So yours is very similar.
Very similar, and so each coach has a channel, and I give the coaches freedom to educate in however they want.
Right.
Just have to provide value to the community. So like,
and not a cookie cutter template.
Well, we do have cookie cutter templates as programs, but it obviously that doesn't work for all strongman,
right?
Because all contests are different,
of course.
Which is why we try to, as a group, pick a contest that we want to compete in, and then I'll make the program for that.
Okay.
Or some people who are newer that are like maybe they don't even want to do a contest yet. They're just trying to get better at the log or the deadlift, or they're just trying to train strongman in general. Don't know what they want to do. We provide programs for that.
I got you.
And then the biggest thing is just having access to coaches that are familiar with exercise science, and strongman in general, to just kind of help you troubleshoot, form review and technique, things like that.
So just a question I would have, like, if I sign on to this, I'm a beginner,
and
then eventually I evolve into a more experienced, more seasoned. Is that something where I would switch over to like personal coaching with you, or is that still through that?
Yeah, so you could. Like obviously as you get older,
you're not going to coach somebody for $25 a month.
No.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there has to be another way to go up.
And the goal would be like as these athletes progress, everyone's going to find a coach at some point.
Mm-hmm.
If you're already in our community, you're probably going to pick one of the native coaches, which would be me, or we've got Nate that works with us as well. Christina. Now, Christina is new to strongman, so I want to be very clear. She does not coach strongman, but she does coach like exercise science.
Right.
So she's doing like, she can review your squats, your bench press, all that stuff. She's a mixed martial arts fighter, so she's got a lot of background in that.
Cool.
So she doesn't really coach strongman. That's more of me and Nate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we kind of all have our like niches that we can offer the community.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because like I said, I'm pretty ignorant to it. Like, I've never really had a coach myself. I've just
Right.
kind of done my own thing, and that's kind of vague for me to say because I've always just been around heavyweight pros and guys that would help me anyway.
Mhm.
I was just, but not everybody's going to have that. Obviously, that's a very, special
Very
circumstance to have that.
Very fortunate.
Yeah, I mean, to be around, Alan and Chad and Dimitar, all these
Yeah.
guys that would just help me. Rich Yu, it's one of the most technical guys I know.
I always told him he should be a coach.
Who?
Rich Yu.
Oh God,
He just like he didn't seem interested in it though.
and he's very good at it. Like
Mhm.
technical stuff, I don't know anybody really any more technical than him.
Dr. Yu.
And
Yeah.
can absolutely explain it very well.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people know what they're talking about, but when they're trying to put the rubber to the road on it, it gets kind of lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Rich is one of the best when it comes to like he can explain it to you
He
like a
taught me a
dumbass.
lot.
You know,
Yeah,
like
he
for a
taught me
dumbass like me to understand. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But he
he's
can
a good
just be
teacher.
you can dumb it down. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It makes it so easy to understand. But yeah, super technical. But I trained with Rich for a very long time, so was pretty lucky in that aspect. But I mean, I see what you're saying. People, a lot of people aren't going to have that. So
Right. Very lucky to have that. And I was lucky to be able to train at Iron House, and be able to work a little bit with Alan and Richie was there, of course.
Mhm.
And then, you've helped me at some points in time along the way.
Mhm.
Actually, I think you helped me with my water cut for OSG.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, I
I
remember that.
barely even knew you, but you were just
Mhm.
texting back and forth. He was kind of telling me like
Yeah.
what you think you would do and stuff.
sure.
So like a lot of people are never going to get that.
Mhm.
Like I've got a friend that lives in where I'm from and there's no strongman there, and he really wanted to get into it. So he bought all of his own equipment
Wow.
and joined our community. And so he's running one of our programs and like he gets to submit videos of him training and I can critique it and review it. He can
Mhm.
ask questions. He can, just basically have like coaches in your pocket to just refer to and have a program to follow that's going to be conducive of strongman goals.
Yeah, that's definitely something I probably took for granted. Like early on, is even when we didn't have a lot of strongman gyms, we
Mhm.
still did have places we could go. You probably had to drive a long way,
Right.
and it wasn't until like social media came about where you started really noticing that some states have no strongman gyms.
None.
They don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even an option at all for some of these places, or it's it's in the next state over.
Yeah.
So I'm like, shit, you got to drive 6 hours just
Yeah.
to. So me driving an hour to Iron House doesn't seem so bad.
Doesn't seem so bad.
Which it never.
And I used to do it.
Yeah, it never fazed me anyway because I knew to get better. This is what it. I never thought about it like that. Like, oh, I got to drive an hour there and drive. No, I want to get better at nationals. I want to do well at nationals, or I want to go to worlds, or I want to do good at whatever.
Yeah.
To me, it was a small price to pay.
Oh yeah, I remember, man, when I was coaching at Randy Johnson's, I used to be a night owl. I would get off at work at 8:00 and I would drive out to Iron House. I'd get there at 9. I'd train till 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
I didn't go to work until like 2:00.
Yeah.
So I was working
Still,
that
that's
shift.
brutal.
So, but I loved it. There's nobody there. Like I wasn't on like a time schedule. Like the next thing I had to do was go to sleep. So I would be there for 3 hours.
Right.
Just took my pre-workout at 9:30 at night.
Nice.
So, man, those are some of the best days of my life in training for sure. Like there's just something about training late at night when you don't got to be up early.
Well, but it's just the want to do it, which a lot of people just don't have. You know what I mean? And that's with any sport. It's just not strongman. It's like that with anything. But just getting the people to get the drive and
Right.
and you have to have a lot of drive in strongman because it's
Yeah.
brutal, not just physically but mentally. I say it all the time. Most people quit strongman over the mental part of it, way before the physical part. So, to keep that and things that help keep that alive, to keep that drive is to have a culture you can depend on.
Culture.
And there's some guys that do very well at training by themselves. And we have a guy here in town that Brian Hopper that trains by himself in his garage, and he's
done very well. Yeah.
very successful. But that's a rarity to me. Like if you and I've done it, we've all done it, where you show up and you have to drag all this shit out by yourself.
That sucks.
It gets very demotivating.
It does. It's one of the most daunting parts about strongman, especially like with the yoke.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously we already know Alan's great. He's got a great gym. But one of the things I hated when I was training there is pulling the yoke out of that tiny little hallway by myself. It'd be
Little
30 minutes to
storage.
set up.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It'd be 30 minutes to
Yeah.
get all set up and then tear down. It's like an
it
hour
all
before
back.
I've even done anything.
Yeah, it's
But again, like I wanted it. Like I didn't care what it was going to take for me to do that. I wanted it. I was
Yeah.
going to do it.
That's what I like about some of the old days when we'd have new guys come in. When I was training with Alan and all those guys, like the new guy, bro, you was getting it.
Oh yeah,
Get all that shit out, dude. It was like part of the initiation. Like you're getting hazed, dude. Like we'd get done because we did it for so many years
by yourselves.
By ourselves. Like me and Alan for a long time. Like that one year we talked about going to nationals that year in Tunica, and we trained totally wrong for it. It was because nationals 2-day comps.
Right.
So we would show up Saturday and Sunday and just run the comps, dude. Heavy as just ignorant, dude. And by the time I got there, I was just so burnt, dude. I was so mentally burnt. But live and learn. That's why coaching now. Like I coach people, I'm like, listen, don't make the mistakes I made.
Right.
Because a lot of things that you think make sense, they don't. You know what I mean? Like just because you think it does, but those were the good times, man. We'd have new people and be like, hey, man, if you want to train with us,
Yeah.
bro, and you could tell people
They need the GPP though, right?
Oh,
Exactly. Your capacity.
brutal, man.
Yeah, they need the extra GPP, so they don't feel.
Well,
too bad.
basically, you're getting like free coaching and everything
Yeah.
anyway, so it's like small price to pay, man. Drag all that shit out.
Yeah, and that's how it is in every culture. The new guys do most of the grunt work.
Yeah.
I mean that's
the way it should be.
That's how it is in everything. Just like I talked about with my job when I was a welder.
Mhm.
Like I was cutting metal, I was carrying the heavy ass.
Mhm.
And then I got to weld a little bit if I was good.
Yeah.
If I did what
Yeah.
I was asked to do.
Well, that's like designing a place like when we came in here. That's why I wanted turf. I wanted 80 feet of turf because I want to be able to just pull it out and go.
Yep.
Instead of having to drag. And we're in Florida, man. It gets hot as hell, so
Yeah.
we do a lot of heat training. But there's times where it's nice not to.
Today was beautiful.
To not have to bake in the sun and
Mhm.
so it all makes a
Yeah,
difference.
my members are spoiled. We have a good AC system, and it's they're very spoiled.
Yeah, I'm air conditioned too, but that right now not having to run it, thank God.
Saves a
lot of money.
of our money
Oh,
because our electric bill is like more than half the rent.
Wow.
So do you think in your future like you're gonna expand your place where you're at now, or like get a bigger place, or like what's your
Yeah,
goal?
we've got some tentative goals. So just in my personal life, I recently sold some property that I owned. So I've got some good money coming to me. So I hope to use that to make the gym larger.
Mhm.
But also, Christina owns the gym next to me. She has a boxing gym.
Oh, okay.
So
Is she a business partner with you guys or no?
in Strongman Institute? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's one of our business partners, and we're all intertwined together. You know, and then so my gym is actually part of like a complex of 3 gyms in one building. So the front is called Hit Fit, which is I call it like a mom gym.
Mhm.
You go in there, there's like you kind of
John would do good there.
John would do
perfect. I already signed
walk
up.
out with a few girlfriends probably.
He signed me up when he walked in the door today.
And then behind Hit Fit is Christina's boxing gym, and she does personal training back there, but most of what she's doing is like she's training people for like cardio boxing or even competitive boxing, things like that.
Sure.
And then in my suite, it's the strongman gym. So our goal, or what we're really considering doing, is breaking down the wall between our 2 gyms and combining it, and it's going to give us like an extra like 700 square feet.
Cool.
But yeah, the goal eventually, I mean, I've already got too much shit in my gym,
That's how it works, dude.
I've already got too much. So yeah, I mean, of course we want to make it bigger, but also, as you know, real estate, it can be pretty insane.
Oh, it's very bad.
Especially right now.
It can be very insane. So hopefully with the change of office, we might get some. I'm not hopeful because typically when shit gets more expensive, it doesn't get cheaper.
Right. How many square feet are you now? Like your place?
It's about 1,000.
Okay.
With the bathroom, it's about 1,000. I'd say working square footage is probably like 950.
I've been to very good gyms at that same space though.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it definitely doesn't mean everything as far as like, especially in a niche gym. And then you realize like with us, we were in 1,500 to begin with, and
Right.
you just find ways for shit to work.
Oh yeah.
You have to.
Well, we have the parking lot, which is nice.
Mhm.
And then I also have a shed outside on the side of the building, which has a lot of our stuff in it. But I mean, we have 40 members,
That's good.
That's
I mean,
and it's 100% been like just my recruiting and getting people into the sport.
well,
know?
with gyms like that, it has to be organic because you're going to get people that we've had this a million times. People come in, they're like, you can just tell they're used to seeing like a commercial gym where
Right.
there's 4 tricep extension machines. I'm like, we don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've straight told people we do have world class athletes here, and we have exactly what we need. And you can either, if you're open to that, then you'll be okay. But if you're not, then you probably need to go somewhere else. Because
Yeah.
you just figure out ways, and we have here, we still do. We're like, hey, we can do this with the same machine, like
Yeah.
you just figure
Oh,
out
we'll
ways.
make it.
And honestly,
We'll make it or have it made.
a lot of those machines, I mean, I'm not, you guys already know all this shit, but most of those machines at the gym are just shit, man. They're very expensive pieces of metal, and like what you can do a rolling tricep extension with 2 dumbbells and get a hell of a lot more than you can ever get out of a tricep extension machine.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like everything we do on a 1-to-1 pulley. There's a reason for that. Like there's no gear reduction. There's no
every pulley makes it lighter.
all our pull downs and our tricep stuff is all. And it's funny when you see guys that've never been there, they'll go do tricep push downs and they'll put 90 pounds.
Yeah,
they're like.
I remember
sure
I
that?
first used that machine one time when I was here. I was basing it off of my lat pull down at home.
Good luck.
I was like,
yeah,
fuck, okay.
yeah.
Do you remember that powerlifting contest we went to? It was a 2-story gym. They had an upper level.
Oh my God. In Bradenton.
And they had like a double pullover or pull machine. And they had a tricep push down. And they had what, like 8 pulleys?
Oh yeah.
I probably felt like nothing.
You talking about the one that had the sandwich shop and everything?
Yes.
Did we go to this gym? Beautiful. I think we counted 80 TVs on the wall. Wow. This is no shit. They were putting a beer and wine bar in. Like you can't make this. Remember? There was someone going around serving sandwiches and samples of their. I was like,
at the gym,
what is going on here?
You had multiple stairs going up to the second level.
I can't remember the name of that place.
I don't remember, but I just remember that.
I'd like to visit it.
I remember the men's
multi-purpose
bathroom
machine
was bigger than our old place.
Yeah.
No shit. And it was nice. I was like, what? Where are we right now? And they had a powerlifting comp going on right in the middle of it.
But that one machine,
I remember.
Had like 8 pulleys.
Yeah.
I'm like,
what is the point of that?
Exactly.
It also, what was
cool, a pin loaded.
Yeah.
What was cool about that place is it had a whole outside gym too. Remember that?
Yeah, that's where we warmed up.
Yeah, the one that was
warm up
area. Is this place still open?
I don't know.
Oh,
that was Sarasota.
I'd love to visit.
Yeah, Sarasota.
That was Sarasota.
It was like this whole prison yard looking thing, like behind all this fences, and I was like,
as much as was invested, I'm hoping they're still open. Really,
I think we figured out, like just from the looks of it, it's about 50,000 square feet.
Probably.
Wow.
Because it had upstairs, and it was just amazing. But then there's no killers training there.
No.
I mean, there's no real athletes, and I mean, it was nice, but we were way out of place. We were like, get me out of here, man.
But
I want someone to serve me a sandwich while I'm squatting.
Yeah,
dude,
really
it was bizarre. I mean, super nice, but
chicken, turkey.
You're in the middle of some high volume squats, and someone comes and brings you a peanut butter.
Yeah, really.
It was definitely bizarre, man.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, I think everybody, you get into the gym business and you learn a lot. You learn a lot about people and where people's loyalty is and where it's not. But I think everybody, I don't think that I have wants to get any bigger than what I am. I remember Mike telling me this along with other people, basically saying, stay as small as you can, as long as you can.
Yeah.
And that was some of the best advice I ever got, because the people that try to get too big right out of the gate, I'm going to open a 10,000. I'm like, go ahead. Like just the amount of money and overhead that it takes, on stuff like that is just,
you want to outgrow your space, not grow into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause money wise, it's going to kill you.
Unless you're rich. But even at that point.
Yeah.
And you'd still be throwing money away if you.
Yeah.
And it's just hard and it's a slow roll to build a certain culture that you want and the values that you want. You're going to turn people away.
You have to be, like you said, you have to be selective.
You're going to turn money away, and it's not easy when you're like, shit, I'm losing $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could let 10 more people in here, but what's it going to do to my atmosphere?
Yeah,
absolutely. Right. Or you get guys that are just trying to pick up girls and all this bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that's not going to fly here, man. We have the girls that are here are training usually for a reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? So leave them alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't play that shit either.
So to have some balls to come into a strongman gym and try to pick up girls in there, like they could probably pick you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had one individual that kind of got carried away a little bit.
We've had a few, man, and it
happens everywhere.
But it all kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah.
But so what do you think? Like you have OSG coming up. That's your next weekend.
Yeah, it's in like 6 days now or something like that.
And that is in
Madison, Wisconsin. Cold as hell.
Oh boy,
I
this
love
time
the
of
cold.
year, yeah.
Bold statement.
I'll tell you what about cold though. Cold in Florida is different than cold up north.
Sure.
And I didn't realize that until I felt the contrast. I was in Kentucky recently. It was 40 degrees. I was in a t-shirt. I was comfortable. Down
It's
here,
dry, dude.
it's
It's
just
dry.
dry. The wet
Yeah.
cold sucks. The humidity down here plus the cold, it's
It's bad for the cold
bone-shattering.
and for the heat.
Yeah.
Either way, it's horrible.
Because I remember I was down here, like I felt like, because I'm from the north, and so I'm like, man, I've gotten soft in my ways. Like it's 50 degrees, I need to bundle up. But then I go up to Kentucky, it's 40 degrees. I'm in a t-shirt, and I'm like, it's a different kind of cold.
Yeah. No, I understand. I was from Pennsylvania myself.
Oh yeah.
So when I came down here in '86, I get the same experience.
I thought I was just being a pussy. Now
No. It's different.
I think one of the worst, like the first national I did was in Tunica, Mississippi, and it was cold. I mean, that was the coldest comp I'd ever competed in, and it was outside. Nationals
Really?
used to all be outside, and
Scary.
it was either in the low or it was either like 31 or 30 degrees, and the wind was
Daggone,
kicking, dude. So we get there. I mean, we're from Florida, dude. We're just like, I remember it taking forever to warm up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a video people can look up, and it's Carlos Reyes destroying all of us at that comp. Like,
Yeah.
he killed us, and he has a video of it. And you see me standing in the back. It's funny because I knew who Carlos was. He was only 19 years old, and he won Open Nationals, got his pro card the same year. Because you know who Carlos is. I mean, he's a amazing powerlifter to this day. He is. So he used to be training partners with Poundstone.
Oh, I know him. Yeah.
And what's the name? Just retired from that area. Rob Kearney.
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
So him and Rob were real close, and they always went back and forth. And but that video is so funny because you see me standing in the background. I got this big jacket on, and Reyes is vipering the hell out of the log, and you see me. I'm just like this.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah. You can look it up. Look up Reyes, and dude, it's so funny. You see me in the background because I think I'd hit like 3 on the log, and it was misloaded. It was heavy, dude.
Oh, of course.
So I'm happy as hell. I got 3 or 4. It was huge for me. And Reyes, I want to say vipered 8 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, put in Carlos Reyes Nationals.
Yeah.
This
So
dude beat our ass, and then once he got his pro card, he never did strongman again.
no.
Mm-mm.
Why do you think that is?
I think he was having issues or something like with his hips or something. I can't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And but he is an amazing. Keep going. You might put in strongman nationals. That's him right there. But put in strongman nationals. But it's so funny, man, because you'll see me just shaking my head like this. Dude,
How long ago was this?
2011, I think. There you go, right there.
Oh,
Watch this, dude.
That's a
Just
big dog log too.
yeah. I'm sitting there on the end somewhere.
Wow.
There I am. You see me over there on the left? God, I look good, dude.
Yeah. I see you kneeling down with the glasses.
Yeah. But dude, it was so cold.
Is this it?
thing. Yeah.
That's crazy that's about what the weight used to be.
See me standing back there with my hands on my hips?
Yep.
I'm so pissed, dude. Watch me start shaking my head when he vipers all these. And I want to say this thing was overloaded like 10, 15 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, even Carlos, everybody. See me with my arms crossed. I'm like, man, get this dude out of here, man.
You just death staring him.
Bro, when I tell you he murdered all of us, I mean, it was so bad. It was so
That's
bad.
hilarious.
About how, like, just now, how light that log is for.
I want to say that may be Kearney right there in that green sweatshirt, the one that was just kneeling down.
Yeah.
It looks like him.
That might be. Now Rob was a 200 competitor back then, and I actually just talked to him at that Tampa
Jeez.
show about that. He goes, "Yeah, I remember that." But so I'm sitting there shaking my head like,
That's
"Dude,
funny.
get this dude out of here, man." But Carlos at the time, I mean, he's still viper.
Look at that.
What a unit.
And
Jeez.
that was the year he won. That's Mike Mostel that just walked by. Mike Mostel was a beast, dude, in the 231s. But it's just funny, man. Like those guys, because they were all out of the same camp, and they killed all of us. Because they were all out of
Wow.
all out of Poundstone's camp up there at the time.
That's funny, dude.
But yeah, it was freezing at that comp, dude. That's all big dog equipment. You see that?
Yeah, those are massively heavy yokes.
Best, yeah,
Empty.
475 unloaded. The best equipment ever made, though, for sure. See Kearney over there beating him. That's Kearney in that lane.
Wow.
Wow.
But dude, those shows were just different back there. And I tell you what I remember about this comp too, is how many women there were not. There were very few women in the sport still at this time.
Yeah.
So you had, I can remember, man, maybe 20, 30. It's 270 a hand. That's Mostel right here on the left. he ended up destroying the 231s that year.
That dude's yoked.
Yeah, Mike Mostel was one. He was one of the best, dude.
Is he? He got into like triathlon stuff, right?
He got into that, and he still does coaching. He's a very smart guy. This right here, most people, you see Cale Beck standing there. So most people over half the field zeroed this.
Really?
Over half the field. I got one rep, and I pulled the first one easy, and I was like, no problem. That bitch never moved a millimeter off the ground again.
Wow.
That car was so heavy, dude.
It's crazy because the handles look kind of long.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you say he got 2? I think he won with 2. Yeah, it was very, very bad. 300 Husafeld stone. So that was an empty big dog stone right here. That's what it started out. We have one over there. That's what I learned was a 300 pound. Yeah, 300 pound big dog Husafeld stone. There's Dion sitting right there. But
Yeah,
man,
it's
it's so funny seeing
That's
these
funny,
guys.
dude.
A lot of these guys are gone. You know, a lot of these guys they're just have moved on. I know Carlos, like I said, is still a very
That's hilarious, dude.
very successful powerlifter. Man, he's a firefighter up there in Connecticut.
Okay.
Yeah, built like a
19,
tank.
that Viper in that log like that. That's
You were
crazy.
not happy.
Oh, dude, I'm just standing there like
What weight class was that?
200. Yeah, 200 pound.
That's
And if I recall right, like I remember being at the rules, and Carlos was still trying to make weight. He was still just walking around, hadn't made weight yet, and still shows up and beat the brakes off everybody. I
Wow.
was like, good lord. Yeah, he got his pro card right after that, and then just went into powerlifting. He's an amazing powerlifter, very technical.
Our log at OSG this year is 280.
Jeez.
A stout.
We have a
Is that a Trump?
that's a Trump log, yeah.
What is the main? What
It's
is the other one?
245,
Oh,
but I
okay.
can't I don't understand that because
And that's a Bartos log. That is
Yeah.
that's a strange log, man.
it is. I have one.
Very front heavy, if I remember. Like the clean's
Yeah.
very odd.
I was gonna ask you if you had one here, because that's what I've been training. And it's so funny because I've been training on the Bartos, and I got a hold of that Rogue log today. I was lifting. I'm like,
I love the road log.
is this still 135 empty? Because it just felt so light compared to the Bartos.
Well, the Bartos, I remember using those. God, it had to have been about 2018 or something. I want to say it was in Vegas. It was like 25-year, whatever it was, like anniversary of Strongman Corp. And I remember that log was so weird to clean because he had made it like heavy towards the front. It was
is.
purposely done that way.
It's like heavy at the top. It's like a kettlebell press, like an upside down kettlebell press.
That thing, I want to say that year, like even in warm-ups, I felt great. And I think I zeroed that log because it was so weird. And I'm a
It
decent
feels
presser,
weird.
man. Like it was just like, nobody had ever used that log.
Right.
Because that's when Bartos was really heavy into the Strongman Corp. And I just couldn't get a hold of it.
Well, it's like so our log actually, the 280 log is the monster log with the huge barrels on the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I see a lot of these guys out here using like pit bull logs, and they're using the Rogue logs, and they're vipering it, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna crush this log."
Nowhere near the same.
And I'm like, "Good luck, brother." Like I have this Bartos log, and I tell you, 280 on this log feels like over 300, or it feels like it's over 300 pounds on any other log.
Yeah. And I know it's an odd log. Because didn't they call that log something? It has like a name. I can't remember.
The really big one. I think they just call it the monster log.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I think it's
yeah.
called the monster log.
I remember it's just odd. Like the clean was very odd to that thing.
What I'm told by other people that have used the monster log is they say that like you said, the clean is just so hard, but they say that the press isn't as bad.
Yeah, because honestly, even when I started working with the Rogue, I didn't like it. Like at first, I thought it was odd clean, but I love that log now.
Yeah, I mean, if you clean a Bartos and you clean a Rogue, you'll favor the Rogue. But yeah, I'm hoping to get 2 on the 280 log. That'd be really, really good for me.
You have the weight cut.
Yeah, I'm 190 right now. I'll be 176 when I compete, and I'll get back up there. But I've got it down pretty well now. The weight cut is pretty simple now. I mean, and I'm only cutting 14 pounds. It's not bad. I know guys that are doing way more than that.
Oh yeah. That's not.
I try to stay pretty lean. You know, I've done weight cuts heavier than that, and my last 3 competitions I've not had to sweat.
Oh
It's
wow.
been nice. So I've been able to do a 14-pound water cut without stepping into a sauna.
I never was able to do that.
And
I
and
suffer, man.
and I love it so much. Every time I'm like, maybe I should just go up to 200 and just sweat. And I'm like, nah, I appreciate not having to do that now.
Yeah, kind of rethinking. Like I probably need to get, before I compete again. After I've been dealing with injuries, obviously, but was definitely going to try to get a little leaner before, so I didn't have to get into these. I'm sick of 20-pound cuts, man. I mean,
It just takes so much out of you too. You
Yeah.
can get an IV and you can do all that stuff.
It's
but
still- you're not
your
gonna be
nervous
the same.
system still is shot.
Yeah, it's very strenuous on the body. Whole, everything. The central nervous system.
Kidneys, all that shit, man.
Yeah, I've been doing it for so long. I just kind of to the point where, can I do it? Sure, I can. But I'm just getting to the point where I don't want to do it.
Is it
You know
even
what I
fun
mean?
anymore,
Yeah,
right?
It's not.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to approach things differently myself coming
Mm-hmm.
back when I'm able to compete again. Hopefully, maybe mid next year.
Your presses look good the other day from the rack.
Yeah, I mean my base is still very good on the press, but my deadlift, like I can get about 450, and I'm like, something's not right. Like something with that movement we're still not there. So
But you're working on it with a therapist, right?
yeah, I was, and now just kind of doing my own thing, and I think now I'm to the point where I just have to slowly strengthen things back up.
Yeah.
Which my press has always been decent. I mean, my base is still strong on that, but the
How do you
deadlift's
feel
got-
about the reverse hyper? Do you use that a lot?
I do. Yeah, I like it.
We're one of the few that
Yeah,
use
I
it
need to
quite-
use it
quite
more.
frequently.
Yeah, for sure. I need
I
to
use it
more.
weekly
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great piece of equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure.
I'm about to bring mine home though because nobody at my gym uses it.
seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I program it for my clients, but like they don't push themselves. On it,
Mm-hmm.
they'll go with like a 45, and they'll just
Well, I'll tell you when they'll see the value is when they hurt themselves. Then they'll see the value.
Yeah.
Like you don't see it until you're like, oh shit, dude, this thing makes me feel better now. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he knows I have advocated that, and we've got a few people that have been doing it more.
Yeah.
But I've been
It's far and few
advocating-
between now.
Yes, it is. But I've been advocating that machine forever.
That's
Yeah.
great. I mean,
really.
and a lot of people, I see a lot of influencers talk shit about it now, about how it's just a momentum arm, it doesn't do anything. I'm like, well, hurt your back and then try it, and then let me know how you feel after.
Exactly. Exactly.
If nothing else, it's an amazing therapy tool.
Well, when it first became popular and Louis first kind of released it to the public, we had a friend of ours worked in a fabrication shop because they were quite expensive back then, and we kind of like got some specs, and he actually built us one,
Oh, nice.
and it was
was great.
beautiful. Yeah,
That
it
was
was great.
Yeah. Walmart.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was actually a really good piece of equipment.
I think Weech has that now, doesn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
But,
I remember box jumping on that thing because it was.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that was like our pinnacle.
yeah,
like
48 or 52,
52
I guess.
inches, yeah.
But we have this one now. We have this combo.
Oh yeah, it's like the donkey thing. Oh no, it's from Sorinex, right?
Yeah.
Reverse hyper,
Frankenhyper,
Frankenhyper, yeah.
Yeah, that thing's
So,
cool.
but
was
no,
just-
I
used it
have-
earlier today.
I have used that thing forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's wonderful. But like you said, these influencers want to shit talk it. Well, what do you really know about it?
Well, just objectively try it.
Yeah.
Like, if you hurt your back, try it and let me know how you feel.
Exactly.
So you got
Exactly.
you got OSG next, and then what? Anything after that? Like any visions of like going to the Arnold stuff like that, like bigger shows, like
Yeah, I do. So there's a lot of different routes you can take now. And I want to choose my competitions wisely because we haven't really talked too much about it. I actually haven't talked about it at all, but I've got a pretty serious knee issue. No one's been able to help me with, and I'll show you guys when we're done. Like you'll see there's this like the massive atrophy around my knee. No one's really been able to help me with it. It feels like tendonitis, but I've used peptides, I've used growth hormone, I've used all kinds of therapies, and like it never really gets better.
so is that something they're talking about, like replacement type shit, like knee replacement,
Well,
or
the
like
crazy thing about it is an MRI is my cartilage is fine. It's all on the patellar tendon. The patellar tendon it just always hurts no matter what.
no peptides, anything get you like relief out of that or anything like that? Or?
Relief, but as soon as I'm done using it, that's kind of back to where it was.
Right.
Which is odd because I've used like BPC and stuff like that on other injuries where it's completely taken care of it once I've run the course. But for some reason, I don't know if it's a mechanical issue, like something's wrong with the way my tibia is lined up or what, but like that knee just it always hurts, and it's certainly affected it's I truly believe it's why I'm not one of the best in the world. I truly believe that's part of why
Right.
I'm not, is because it's held me back so much
Mentally.
mentally, and then also like there's a tremendous amount of weakness there. So actually I got really, really good at vipering the log. because I couldn't push press for so long.
Right, just because of that.
Yeah. So like I was at OSG regionals. I vipered 245 for 5 and 30 seconds, and everyone was like,
I love Viper, man.
"Oh, it's great."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And I just now started the push press because, like we were just talking about, that Bartos log,
Yeah.
I could not viper I couldn't even viper 245 on the Bartos.
yeah, that's an odd log.
beast.
man,
It's
for
different.
sure.
So I had to kind of reteach myself to push press, and I've had it still hurts, but it's like a necessary evil right now just because of that log. Like I can viper a rogue log or a pit bull or
Right.
whatever, but like that Bartos log, I had to push press. So I just now became comfortable with it again.
Any kind of attachments you can wear to kind of give you some relief? Knee sleeves or any kind of
I wear knee
Specialty
sleeves
sleeves.
and stuff like that, and I've done some KT taping and stuff, and all those things help. But then like you get into the problem with KT tape of like it takes time to set up. You gotta learn how to do it. You gotta keep your leg shaved. Put a knee sleeve over it, kind of fucks it up, and yeah. So it's something I'm working through, but
experimenting with?
yeah, experimenting with. I've got some things that are working for me right now. I still can't squat, but I can do most other things. Now it's a game of picking up, like getting stronger again,
Right.
because there's a lot of weakness there still. But anyways, yeah, I was thinking about doing South Carolina Strongest Man. I did that one last year. I got second to
Is that that's a qualifier?
It is.
Okay, that's an Arnold
yeah.
qualifier.
Mhm.
Okay,
yeah. So I did that one last year. It was a deep class, like 13 guys. I got second to Dylan Thompson, who's currently number 3 in the world.
who
at OSG.
who puts that comp on?
What's his name? Oh man, I'm sorry. I drawn a blank on his name. I was just talking to him though. I can't remember his name, but
Yeah,
yeah. So I did that one last year, and I'm thinking about doing it again. But also PSL is in February, Pro Strongman League, and
I don't know a ton about those guys. I don't.
they're kind of newer, but everyone that's competed in there has nothing but good things to say about it.
Smaller scale though,
Street.
right? Like
It's
pretty,
usually good guy, like good competitors.
No, yeah, but it's like
Small
a
show.
yeah.
They only do like one weight class.
Is that wasn't what came out of the Clash, was it? Is that what came out of
It
the
is.
Clash? Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
Clash used to be
okay,
PSL used to be Clash.
okay.
I haven't done anything from them yet, but everyone says that I've talked to, no one's had a bad experience, and their shows are really well done. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out if that's what I want to do, or if I want to try to qualify for the Arnold again. But I've had quite a few people tell me that, like, you know, things like Clash are gonna or not Clash, PSL are gonna replace the Arnold as far as like competition pool.
Really?
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've been told.
I don't know.
So I'm not quite sure exactly where I want to go, but I know I'm going to do OSG, and then it's going to be either PSL qualifier or the South Carolina Strongest to try to get to the Arnold.
Yeah,
And then there's America's Strongest Man, which just came out for the 80s this year.
right.
So I would really like to do that. Like if I were to pick, like, I would really only like to compete like 3 times a year at the most.
That's what they had with Masters.
It was
Yeah.
Masters and then 80 kg.
So hopefully they get that back on a bigger scale, like because that used to be Masters was always at the Olympia, and I don't for whatever reason, because I think they put America's Strongest Heavyweight, like the big boys,
Yes.
and the Olympia,
Yeah.
because we used to go there for
And
Masters.
90s. 90 kilogram was there
Yes. So I'd like to see all that kind of get back together. You know what I mean? Because
too. I don't know why they split them up.
that expo was garbage. This
It
year.
was.
Not anything on Strongman Corp or anything like that. I mean, but it was
Yeah, we were there.
just the
We were
expo
there too, yeah.
Yeah, the expo was just horrible.
Yeah,
There was nobody there.
It was one of the smallest expos I've ever been to.
Yeah, and I think it's another one that because we did it there last year, and it was bigger last year than what it was this year.
I don't know what the problem is, man. People just want too much money for their freaking booths.
Between that and from multiple people down there said they knew nothing about it, so there was
Yeah, poor
obviously no
promotion.
marketing. Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
could see that
something
for
was
sure.
definitely the ball got dropped on some of that. So for sure, but
Yeah. So competitions, like I definitely want to do. They gave away a lot of money at America's Strongest Man. I was so close to signing up for it. They gave away $5,000 to the winner of the 80 kilogram class.
wow, I didn't know that.
All the way up through 10th place got money. So if you got last place, you still got
Still
paid.
got a few dollars.
It was like $500 for last place.
Yeah, not bad.
So I was really considering doing it, but I competed at OSG in 2019, and ever since then I've really just kind of set my heart on getting back there. So like money, I honestly couldn't give it too much shits about that because I wanted to do OSG.
Yeah,
So that's my target, and then I really want to do. I know for a fact, however it lands. I was told by I'm drawing a blank on his name because I got so much going through my brain. Who now owns Strongman Corporation?
Deaf and Ball.
Yes, Stefan Ball. I was talking to him. He said that he thinks it's going to be in Texas in July.
Okay.
The 80 kilogram class. So I'm kind of set on that. If that happens, I'm definitely going to do it. I don't know how the qualifications are going to work, but I mean,
All right.
I can hold my own against all those guys. So
When you go to OSG, you got to make me a bet right now that
yeah.
you take off that shit off your profile.
Which one? Oh, the 12th.
2000.
I already did. I changed it. You know what it says now?
All right.
Two times OSG competitor.
There you go. All right. I don't see no 12th place shit on there.
Oh man, some people don't like that, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, 12th place is pretty good against those guys.
I remember somebody, I think it was like Brian telling me one time, like he'd went to a comp and he was like, I said, how'd you do? He goes, I finished top 4. I said, you finished 4th.
Yeah. Remember that, yeah.
I was like, but don't say that. You finished 4th.
Yeah, some verbatim.
4th out of 3
It'd be
competitors.
different there. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's, I already changed that.
Or if you ask him, like, well, how many people were there? 4.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, I actually recently saw this person post, like, I'm not even kidding, top 50 something for static monsters on their profile, like top
John?
50 top
it John?
50 something.
That's my other profile.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it
how
goes to
many how many competitors were there?
Yeah,
Number 55? How many were there?
What's that out of?
yeah,
Out of-
really.
like if that's out of like maybe 10,000, that's kind of impressive.
Some of these profiles I'll post. Okay, my powerlifting, my max,
Yeah,
contest max.
Those are funny.
Gym max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
horrible.
Those
No,
are kind
I
of
know.
funny. Yeah, like kids. I mean, when I was in high school, I posted stuff like that on my Instagram too. But that Instagram was different back then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I was also younger
was.
and a lot dumber.
MySpace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What was that dude's name?
Tom.
Tom. Yeah.
from MySpace.
Oh, Tom. Tom from MySpace.
Everybody's friend.
Yeah.
That's your only friend.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
So I guess we'll kind of wrap up here and tell everybody like what your handles are, where they can find you, your Discord.
Yeah. So Instagram is Schulze Strength 80kg. Make sure we spell that right because my last name is kind of hard to spell.
Schulze.
Schulze, actually Schulze. I say,
T.
I say Schulze because it's
T
just
is
easier.
silent.
It is. Schulze Strength 80kg. My gym is Bare Iron Barbell, and then Strongman Institute is our online kind of gym culture that we're building here. So
I remember seeing your booth at the Tampa.
yeah, that was our very first
Fairgrounds.
first one.
Sure.
Yeah, right. You're right next to Scott.
Yeah, yeah, you're right
very
behind
first
us there,
T-shirts.
so.
Try to do some cool stuff there with the grip.
No, that was cool. I loved it. Yeah, I talked to a few of the guys
Thank
there
you.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really cool.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys having me on. I'd like to come out here and just talk and
Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, it's
Strongman.
good that we can, get some more exposure like we talked about earlier this
Yep.
way. So,
And ourselves, we need everybody to kind of listen, like, subscribe.
yeah.
Gorilla Strength Podcast. We're on Instagram. We are on iTunes, Spotify, right?
probably.
I think we're on Spotify, yeah.
And
On YouTube, obviously.
Yeah,
Trying
video.
to push the YouTube a little bit more. That's, kind of make sure everything's filmed and just, another spin on it. So if everybody could check those out, we'd appreciate it. And we definitely got some more people coming up.
give us some feedback.
Sure, feedback's
Give
always
us some
welcome.
feedback on these.
I know soon. I know we have Rich Stout. I know we have Battle Axe Mike's coming soon. Probably the beginning of January, I believe. We're gonna have
Scott
Mike on.
Weech.
Scott Weech, yeah. We got some people lined up, so it'll be fun. And appreciate everybody tuning in. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you later. Thank you.
Thank you.